All right. Welcome, everybody, to this special edition of the show, I guess, kind of an extension of the Thumbcast. We have Andy with us as always here as well. And he's going to demo. I am not demoing it. I'm not the programmer. He is. He's going to demo his whole program and how it's going to run your whole farm for you, tell you everything you need to do every day from the task of watering to planting to taking the trash out. It's going to do everything for you and just make life so much simpler. So I'm going to turn most of this over to Andy and let him start demoing the show. Just one vote when you come in. If you're coming in now, make sure you vote for the name that you want. It's either AccuFarm or Farm Flow. So vote for one of them. The poll is up, so go ahead and vote for that. And there will be a winner of an lifetime, right?
Yep.
Subscription to it. And there's
Yep.
two people out there. Do you want to give their names?
Sure. So it's Max and Victor. They, out of about 140 names that came through, we narrowed it down to literally two names, and they are the last two finalists. So, based on you guys' vote, I'm not going to say who picked which names. That way, you won't prefer, one person over the other, just in case you know somebody. But pick the name that you like the most. I wanted you guys to be part of this process to be able to figure out what we're going to call it. So, I'm definitely excited to show it off to you guys, and it's going to be very nice to actually have a name for the software after today since we've been working on it for so long. But yeah, it's been a whole lot of work. Been up extremely late the last week, so almost every single day. Beyond having my full-time farm and everything else, and trying to move into a new space, I'm trying to get all this rolling for you guys. So this is the same software that we've used for the last 3.5 years. It's not. It's going to look a lot nicer than what we've been using because we were the only ones that were seeing it for the longest time, so we didn't really care what it looked like. But obviously, once we put it out in the real world, we want to make sure it's good to go. It looks nice. It works nice. It's mobile friendly. So we absolutely love it. It's what's kept me sane for the last 3.5 years for sure. It's what allowed us to get to where we are. I mean, we don't forget stuff. We literally don't because the system takes care of everything for us to make sure all the jobs are done every single day, as you'll see as we go through the demo. So it should be a lot of fun. So make sure you vote. We definitely need some votes.
Yeah, get your vote in. And I just want to thank all the channel members that are here tonight. The ones I've seen right off the bat is John Claus, who's usually always here. Beth, welcome. John, our newest Harvest member, welcome. Um, and I think Jennifer's here as well. Welcome, Jennifer. Aspen, who's one of our members of our course that we have, welcome. And I think that's all that's here for right now that are members. So thanks for joining us. And we will have our members live Q&A only on Saturday at 3 p.m. So if you want to jump in on that, you can do that for $2.99 a month. And we get into this demo now. Andy?
Yeah, and
Demo
obviously don't
away.
forget to join us. Join us for our podcast on Sunday that we do every single Sunday. We're always live at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you follow Itty Bitty Micro Farms YouTube page and turn on those bell notifications and everything to make sure that you don't miss anything. So, all right. So here's kind of your initial home page. I'll give you kind of a quick run through of all the different options that you've got on the left-hand side here. So if I move the mouse to the right screen, that'd be helpful. So you've got your sowing and harvesting, which gives you a to-do list, which is kind of like your general rundown of what you can do each day. It gives you an idea what you need to move to blackout, what you need to move to light, what needs to be harvested, what you need to plant. It's a huge thing. Sowing cheat sheet is kind of a real quick list of all the different plants that you have that you grow. It tells you how many grams of seed or ounces, depending on who you are, that you use. It gives you an idea what your soak times are and all that stuff. So we'll go through all that. Sowings is actually just a list of all the stuff that you planted. So it's an easy way to go in and add harvest weights to all the different things that you've harvested to make sure that your orders are going out the door correct when you go to plant the next time through. Disposal reasons, we'll get into a little bit of that as well. So we're inspected at this point. We've been inspected, and some of the stuff that they require are disposal records, training records, and cleaning records. So that's actually all built into this system as well. So you can start using those now. So if you get to the point where you start being inspected, then you can actually produce these records for them and export reports and everything for them. So that keeps you, on the up and up. We also have this thing called the Getting Started Guide. I'll get into that a little bit later. So it kind of, when you first log in, obviously you're going to have nothing in the system. So it kind of helps you guide through the process of what you need to do first, to get yourself set up in there. It makes it really easy. Tasks and inventory, we have today's tasks, which is a giant list of all the things you need to do today. And they're all, little check boxes that you can go through. So my team, this is what they use primarily every single day to make sure that everything that we need to do gets done every day. We have cleaning records, like I talked about, so we can add in, all the different records for how we clean things. So cleaning tables, cleaning knives, washing trays, all that kind of stuff is all documented for inspection purposes. We have check inventory. This is a huge thing as well. This literally allows you to add anything that you use in a regular basis. So if there's something you're going through, like packaging, labels, seed, everything. So anything that you would have that's a consumable item, essentially, all the way down to like Post-it notes, pens, you can put whatever you want in there. It's basically a way to just keep track of everything in your entire farm. When you see how long our list is on this, it's insane. We have a ton of stuff that we have to check on a regular basis to make sure we don't run out. The tasks here is where you're actually managing the tasks that show up in the today's task list. Cleaning types is basically where you're assigning different types of cleanings that you do. So all those ones that I listed a minute ago, cleaning the table, cleaning the knives, all that good stuff. When you're doing a cleaning record, you're basically assigning a human being to it, that they did it. And we'll show you all that as we get through. Inventory items is where you're adding inventory things to show up into check inventory, which also gets into categories that you can create. So you can categorize your inventory items. So you could have like office supplies, seed, packaging options, paper products, all that kind of stuff. And then inventory suppliers. If you have common people that you get stuff from, you can add them here, and it just allows it to tie them directly to an inventory item. Sales prospects, it's just a real basic CRM system. So you can add prospects in that you're actually looking to target. And you can actually set up different statuses as well. So I didn't want to, kind of pigeonhole people into having certain statuses that you could assign to a prospect. So obviously, if you haven't called them yet, you'd have a status for that. If you called them already, you'd have a status for that. If they replied, you could have a status for that. Things along those lines. So this way, that opens that completely up to you guys to assign whatever status levels you want. And you can actually color code them as well. So they're custom color codes you can put in. We'll show you that in a little bit. Seeds, you've got seeds and grow mediums, so you can assign all your different seeds, put them all in the system. You can actually create custom seed lots, which we do here and there as well. So let's say you had 3 different actual seed lots that you got from Mums or Greener Harvest or something like that, and you were making a mix out of those and you're growing them together. Obviously, then you've got 3 different seed lots that are now combined into one. So this allows you to create a custom seed lot that's internal to you. So if, God forbid, you had somebody get sick or something, you could tie it back to this custom seed lot, which ties it back to all 3 of those seed lots that you tied together. And it'll make a lot more sense when we get into that part. And then we've also got seed suppliers. So we've got like, Greener Harvest in here, True Leaf, Mums, those guys, which, you can add whoever you want basically, and then you assign them to your actual seeds. And then grow mediums as well. So we put in, our Coco Loco that we use. We have our Pro Mix still in there from before. You can add, things that are soilless, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a soiled thing. If you're using screens or whatever, you can do that as well. And then from there, we've got products and mixes and pricing. So this is where we're adding all of our different products. We're adding our product categories. So for the most part, it's just going to be microgreens, but you may add a secondary category for, mushrooms or who knows what you're growing. You can decide those different things as well. Product mixes is where you're actually taking, different products, obviously, and mixing them together. And then pricing is where you actually set up your pricing for your different sizes of packages. So we'll go through all this obviously in more detail. Just kind of want to give you guys kind of the 10,000 foot view of everything right off the bat. Team and training, this is a big one for us because we have plenty of employees here. So we have team members where we assign, and then we actually create training topics. So basically when I go to train my employees, I have them go through this system. There's main topics at the high level, like, planting a tray or even mopping the floor, something as simple as that, how we want them to do it. And then basically inside of those training topics, we can add steps so they can go through and learn how to do it. And then team training is where we actually do the actual training. So we have them go into this setup and they can see all the actual steps. We go over it with them, and then we can mark it as complete. And again, this is something the USDA, to a certain extent, requires per inspections. So it's good to have this on record for sure. That shows that all your employees were actually trained. And then we go down a little bit further. We have Snapshot, which is actually the page that we're on right now. I'll walk through that first. We have our customers. We have subscriptions where you can assign, different products to different customers on a weekly, bi-weekly, tri-weekly, or monthly basis, however you want to set it up. And then we also have pre-orders. So if you have somebody that's just doing a one-time order, it works out really well to be able to just put in a one-time order. You can set the date. It can be 5 years from now. It doesn't matter. The date doesn't care. The system will know, just a little bit under 5 years from now, it'll automatically tell you, hey, these are the things you need to plant, so you can completely forget about it. That's a beautiful thing. Deliveries. I know there's a lot of delivery software options out there, but a lot of them cost money. So we built in like a really basic delivery system to where you can actually arrange your delivery orders automatically. So when you actually go to send it to Google Maps, all the actual addresses are in the order that you specified to make sure that your route is already taken care of. It makes things really simple. So we'll get into that a little bit later. Pickup locations. So if you had customers that actually wanted to pick up at different locations. So let's say you worked with a couple local cafes or something like that, where you would drop your stuff off into a fridge and then they would basically take your stuff from there. They would pick up from there. It gives you the option to create these pickup locations and then actually assign them to orders and subscriptions and things like that. So you know where the orders need to actually go when it's delivery day. And then the one that's way down at the bottom is just off screen here is cancel week. So basically, if you have a customer who's on a regular subscription and they call up and say, hey, I'm going to be out of town this weekend or whatever, you can go in and hit cancel week and you can actually just cancel that one individual week and it doesn't mess up your subscription structure at all, which is really nice. And then we have profile and preferences. So you just be able to update your profile. Your preferences, we'll go through that too. It's going to be like your seed weights, your harvest weights, all these kinds of different things that kind of everybody tends to use, date formats, things like that. So that's all built in. Change your password, obviously, you can log out. And then we also have this bug and feature option. So some of you guys are going to do the beta testing. This is going to come in super handy for you. It's already come in very handy for me as I'm finding things as I go through, as we're finalizing this. So you have the option to report bugs. You have the option to request a feature as well. And then you can look at the whole entire list. So that was a lot to go through. So I apologize, trying to run through it pretty quick. I don't want to waste you guys' time. So pretty much when you fall on your snapshot page, which is going to be your main page when you come in, you have the option to actually change your financial goal. So this is where you actually set the amount that you would like to make per year. That's part of the preferences structure. And then what that's going to do is give you a graph, basically, and every single month it's going to pull financial points automatically out of where you are as far as where your subscriptions are. So this automatically calculates roughly how much you're making. And it also, shows you kind of what percentage you are towards your goal. So in this case, I've got, August numbers and September numbers. It goes back down to 0 because obviously we have nothing for October yet. But it gives you an idea kind of where you sit at the moment. So the green line in our case is our active subscriptions. So these are people that are getting things on a regular basis. And you'll see when we get through the subscription portion, we have the option to postpone people or cancel people as well. So this also actually, the orange line shows you that, hey, if you got all those postponed subscriptions back, you could be here instead of down here where the green line is. So it's kind of like a secret incentive to, reach out to those former customers and go from there. So and then up at the top here, it's going to tell you pretty much how many active subscriptions you have and how many, postponed subscriptions you have with your actives. And then, based on your current per subscriber rate, you need to be, in my case, about 34 or more subscribers to get my goal. So that'll get me up to my 100% roughly. It's just basing on our average subscription that we have right now. So as we scroll down a little bit further, we've got our inventory items. So these are actually items from that check inventory page. You see it's got a 3 there and a 3 here as well, telling me I need to order 3 things. Well, these are those 3 things. They show right up on the homepage. And because I have websites, associated with each of those things, I can actually just click right here. It takes me right to the order page. In this case, I get my 64-ounce clamshells from 2 different providers. So I've got an order link for both of them. So I can click both of those links, compare prices, see what it's worth, buying, and then go from there. And then once I order that item, I can go into the check inventory system and say, yep, I ordered it. It's good to go. So that way I'm keeping track of everything as I go through the process. This is definitely a really awesome feature. You have seed status. So what this does is it's actually telling you, how much seed you actually have left. So basically, I've got about 17.5 pounds of amaranth left out of a 20-pound bag I bought recently. 34.8 out of a 58 pounds worth of arugula, things like that. So essentially, it's like telling you, what you started with and what you've actually got left. And this number changes automatically. So as you plant different crops in the system, it automatically subtracts out the grams or ounces that you used out of this the remaining list. So that way you've always got an up-to-date on-the-fly, list of your actual seed weights that you have left, which makes it really nice to keep track of where your actual seed data is. And then way down at the bottom, these are planting stats. So it shows you like how many trays you planted. In our case, we planted almost 14,000 trays. Soil used, we've used 6 tons of soil. We've used almost 1,700 pounds of seed since we started, and we've harvested 5,378 pounds of microgreens so far in our 3.5 years of doing this. So it's really neat just to see that. I mean, it's all the way at the bottom for a reason because it's kind of the least important thing out of what's on this list. But at least you get an idea of kind of where everything is. And the other really cool thing, and it's really easy to forget, is that in the top left here, I can actually switch to a light theme. So if you prefer to have everything lighter colors, you can do that. It's really easy. You just click back and forth between the two. I prefer the dark theme, so that's kind of what I tend to stay on. And you can also change that by going into the preferences area as well. All right. So let's get started. So we get this getting started guide when you first log in. And so this kind of gives you a rough idea. You got this percentage thing across the top. Of course, I'm at 100% because I've used this forever. But it'll give you an idea dynamically where you are as far as what you've completed so far. So it gives you all the different things. Like basically, you've got things you can do right away. So you can update your profile, your preferences, your password. You can create a customer, and you'll also see it's got a little asterisk next to it, basically saying this is a required thing. So in order to like really get through the system, you want to do these particular things. Some of this stuff is optional. Obviously, you don't have to use the inventory system if you don't want to. You don't have to use the task system if you don't want to, or the sales prospects, right? That kind of stuff. But obviously, in order to truly take advantage of the system and what it can do, you're going to want to do these things that are highlighted with the stars. So you've got like customer, seed supplier, grow medium, product category, disposal reasons, all that good stuff. So as you go through the process, it's going to change these, from an unchecked icon to a checked icon, essentially showing you that you've got it finished. So, and then these things down here are items that you basically have to unlock as you go through the process. So like creating a new product, you can't do that until you've done certain things. Adding product pricing, you obviously can't do until you created a product, so there wouldn't be anything to add pricing to. So I kind of walked you through the whole process. And then all these links, are conveniently right here. So you can easily go right to what you need to do, which makes things super easy. So yeah, it's a pretty decent list on there, but there's obviously a lot of things that this can do. So we want to make sure that we make it as easy as possible for you to walk through the process to get fully set up. So that's that. I'm not going to go through this in heavy detail because it's a lot to talk about. You'll learn a lot more by going through everything else. All right, so we'll start out with the to-do list. And basically what this does, let me go to one that actually has a little more data on it here. So this actually will show you what items need to be moved to the light today, what items needed to be harvested today. And then we've also got subscription information for each person that we actually have to harvest things for. Now, I know it's going to seem a little bit weird, but I have an option in here to scramble names as well. So I'm demoing this. Obviously, this is live data for us. So I have it, scrambling my customers' contact information, all that kind of stuff. But you can see the orders are still in there and everything, which is cool. So yeah, so these are the actual customers. I can click this, and it actually takes me directly to their subscription. So if I need to change it on the fly, I can just hit this guy. It takes me right there. Super easy. And then these are all the different things that we did for these guys today. So we did an 8-ounce pack of Rambo radish, and it's checked off, which means it's done. So basically, we have 2 tablets that we run every single day here, and that way people can do 2 different things at once. And the idea is that they have the same list in front of them. And so if somebody accidentally tries to do Rambo radish at the same time as somebody else, and they can see this is already checked, the checkbox is actually checked automatically across tablets. So if I were to check this remotely, this checkbox would actually become unchecked or checked, and I could do it completely separate from this view. So the beauty of it is when you have more than one tablet, cell phone, computer, whatever you use in your farm, you don't have to worry about checking boxes on both or multiple devices. It handles it automatically, which is really handy. So that way people can easily see what's being done, on the fly. So nobody's overlapping essentially. So what's cool is you've got mixes as well. So in this case, this is a mix that we created called Homegrown Mix. It's actually named after the restaurant that we use. Whoops, sorry about that. I'll show you that in a minute. And it tells you what actual the mix pieces that go inside of it are as well. And you can check these off also. We usually don't bother because we usually just go straight to the mixing. So yeah, so this is kind of the whole list of all the different subscriptions that we did today. And it's got the actual, the fact if it's delivery, where is it going? And then we have some that are probably pick up down here further, I think, maybe not. Yeah, okay, here we go. Here's one. So this guy actually does a pickup. He just gets some wheatgrass. And we have him pick them right up here, at the market, which works out really good. And then we also have an example of a pre-order in here. This is for a little harvest dinner that they're doing here locally. So that'll actually be delivered tomorrow as well. So this is kind of an example of what a subscription looks like. This will come up as often as you told it to, where a pre-order is just going to be a one-time thing. So if you remember earlier when I was talking about arranging the delivery addresses, this is where this really comes in. So this button here actually literally takes you to Google Maps. I'm not sure if it'll show up in this view. Nope, unfortunately it won't. But it takes you to Google Maps, and it has all the addresses already pre-programmed in there, and they're ready to go. So you can send that right to your phone if you're the one doing the delivery, or you can send it to your delivery driver's phone, and they've got everything already listed there in the Google Maps, so they can open it right up in the actual app and it will take them, through every single address automatically, which is super handy. So that definitely comes in really, really handy. And this is reading directly from, when you assign those delivery addresses here. So as you move people around, that's going to modify this button automatically, which is really cool. So and this down here is actually, it's a little bit hard to see, so I apologize, it's kind of small, but we actually have a list of all the things that we had to harvest today. So we did about 75 pounds of microgreens today. It was about 197 trays we harvested today. And this says 132 planted because once you actually harvest a tray, it removes it from this list. So a lot of these are green and red. The green ones mean there's still enough left. The red ones mean there's not enough left. So on planting day, if you see red, then that's not good because it means you haven't planted enough trays to actually satisfy what the system is asking for. And what else is cool is that, so for example, in the sunflower right here on this line, we can actually see based on how much we've got, we should have roughly 24.1 ounces remaining, and that's based on recent harvest weights. So the cool thing is if I have a chef that calls me up and said, hey, I'd love to get a pound of sunflower or a half a pound of sunflower, I can easily know that I'm going to be able to fulfill that order without even having to harvest anything and worry about it because I can see in the system that I've got at least 24 roughly ounces left. So I know I can safely give away 8 ounces, 16 ounces to another order. So it works out really well as far as being able to kind of pre-plan. So if you have, and I know I have some chefs that call you last minute, they're like, oh, I really need this. Do you have it? Well, it's an easy way to go in and check to see. So that definitely comes in super, super handy. And if there was anything that needed to be planted today, it actually highlights this entire row in yellow, and we'll show you that in one of the other views as well. So that is the gigantic to-do list. Very, very handy. I'm probably eventually going to move some of this stuff into the task area to have it automatically go in there, which would be a lot easier, I think. It's kind of more like a task-driven thing at that point. For right now, this is how we have it set up. But I know over time, I'm going to work on kind of the flow of everything, to make things a little bit smoother and all that stuff, which is nice. And then we also have a little drop down here you can pull down. This drop down doesn't look very good yet. It's something I have to format. But you can easily just pick the next date you want to look at. So we can go to the 30th. This is kind of our next major harvest day. Or you can actually just click on the little left arrow, right arrow. You can't see the right arrow because it's behind me, but this just allows you to scroll, one day at a time, which is really nice. So this comes in super handy. Yeah, there it is. Thanks, Jess. So there's the fancy right arrow. So it just allows you to jump back and forth through days. But honestly, we use this for the most part. It's just easy to navigate. And that way you can jump right to what you want to jump to. All right. So, and obviously, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. I'll probably try and go through all that towards the end, if that makes sense. I don't want to stop and start a bunch of times if we can help it. But yeah, good stuff. All right. So that was the to-do list. And then we have the sewing cheat sheet here. This is kind of the one really cool thing. It shows you all your different plants that you're actually planting. It shows you basically roughly what your average harvest weight is. I mean, keep in mind, this is a 7-day Rambo. We can grow it very short. It tells you how many days to harvest. If you soak, how many hours it's going to be soaked for, your seed density, things like that. And then what's really cool is you can add sowings right from here, which is probably the easiest way to do it. You can edit that actual product using this link here. And then you also have instructions that are generated automatically. So when you build the product, you're actually putting together the instructions without even realizing it. So this, it's really small, so I apologize. So hopefully you guys can read that. I can easily add a new Rambo radish from here, but this also tells you exactly how to plant them based on the actual data that you put into your system. So it gives you kind of an automated instruction. So you guys don't have to worry about writing this. It makes it a whole lot easier, especially when you have employees and you're trying to train them how to do things. You can just tell them, click on that little question mark, and it'll tell you most of what you need to know. So that's one cool thing. So if we go into the add option here, so I'm going to click add. So this is basically creating a sewing record. And you don't have to do it one at a time, thank God. So you can actually just choose, and it's unfortunately you guys can't see the drop down, doesn't show up when you share, but this first drop down, which is the number of trays you're planting, goes up to 500 trays. So if you ever get to the point where you're planting 500 of the same tray in one day, you're doing really, really, really well. So hopefully that'll last a long, long time for us to change that number. And then you also see you have the option to assign a seed lot to it. So in this case, these are the seed lots that we've got actively going for our Rambo radish. And what this also does is it pulls the seed lot from the previous planting. So the most recent Rambo radish, it automatically fills in this seed lot. So that way the assumption is, you're still using the same seed lot until it's gone. It automatically populates the plant date. So you can see I kind of got it broken down here to things that are likely to change, things that are unlikely to change. The plant date is most likely going to be today because you probably just planted it. Your seed weight for grams is already pre-programmed in, at the product level, so it's unlikely that's going to change. Your soak time is probably going to be the same. The dirt that you plant in is probably going to be the same. But you can also add like grow medium notes for whatever reason. So you could say like, hey, I put twice as much soil in today, or I put half as much soil in today, or whatever. Yes, Mike, that is a challenge. 500 trays of one item in a day. I saw in the comments there. And then when after you harvested the tray, which you usually don't have to go this route to do it, but it's optional to where you can actually put in the harvest information. You would just pick the date that you harvested, put in the amount that you harvested. Now keep in mind, this says ounces for me because that's what we harvested. It could be grams, it could be pounds, it could be kilograms. That's all stuff you set in your preferences. And then if you want to log a loss weight, so let's say half the tray was super wet and you didn't harvest it, or half the tray was dead, dampened off or something, you can put that in there if you choose to. It's not required. It's really just one of those extra things just in case you wanted to keep track of that kind of thing. And then harvest notes, same thing. You could put like, hey, I harvested a little higher and I got less, or I harvested, a couple days early or 2 days late or whatever. You can put that kind of stuff in there too. And then all the way down at the bottom, you've got disposal records. So was this thrown out? And you can select, who threw it out, or I'm sorry, yes or no. You can select who actually threw it out by the team member, and then the reason for the disposal. And again, this is all for USDA inspections and things like that. You have to have this kind of data. So it's good to have these kinds of options, but there's easier ways to do this. So like the disposal portion of it and the harvest portion of it, I'll show you the much easier way to do it. So for the most part, we're just changing these top two things and literally hitting save, and we're good to go. So it makes adding new, sowings to the system super, super easy, which is really, really nice. So that's kind of the sowing cheat sheet. It's just an easy way to have access to all the information you'd want to know, right away, to be able to add new sowings and get your instructions really quick. So then if we actually go into sowings themselves, and then this is going to be kind of a record of everything that we planted. And I don't know if you noticed that or not. I'm going to refresh that page real quick. So up top here, there's a little toast that comes up, as they call it. And it's basically saying like, you have, in this case, I think 9 different things that are requiring disposal approval. So I can click that. It will show me all the 9 things down underneath it here that I actually need approval for disposal. So in this case, I've got a list of all my different things that we plant. So if I go to like amaranth, for example, that's going to be a huge list. Jess, you don't mind putting me back in the top right? Thank you, ma'am. All right, so this, when you go to actually harvest, and remember I was saying you can do it in that form if you want to, one by one. That's a giant pain in the butt. It's a whole lot easier to just, go here, add a bulk harvest weight. I wish you could see these drop downs, but you can't. So this actually allows you to say, I harvested 20 trays and I got, 200 ounces or whatever. And you can put those 2 numbers in there and hit save, and it'll automatically do the math for you. It automatically fills in the correct trays with that amount based on the current date and the plantings that you have in the system. The other option you've got, if you want to do them one at a time, I'll see if I can find any. Yeah, here we go. So these are some previous ones that we've harvested. So it shows, the name of the variety, the date that it was actually planted. Here's our actual cost. So and this is actually calculated because in the grow medium section, you're saying and we'll get there obviously. You're saying, how much should I pay for the bag? How many trays am I averaging per bag? And that actually helps you calculate your average cost per tray for soil. And again, you can't see this little pop-up thing, but if I mouse over this actual dollar amount, it tells me I spent 93 cents in grow medium and $1.03 in seed. So I spent more in seed than I did in grow medium. So that's definitely one nice thing to see. So you know exactly how much your tray is actually costing you, literally. And then it tells you how much the harvest weights were. Our harvest weights suck because we're terrible at growing amaranth for the most part. So it's not a great thing for us. We hate it, but we're getting better at it. Once my guys started figuring out the watering process, we're doing a lot better. But this gives you the option to update that sowing, which takes you back to the same form we saw earlier when we were adding a new sowing. And then you also have the option to throw this thing away. So if we ended up tossing this tray, we can click this little guy right here. And it basically says, only use this form if you're disposing of a problem tray. And it'll tell you exactly what the product is, the soil it was grown in, and the seed lot. So if you find that, this Amroy, in this case, as we call it, seed lot is, consistently bad, then we can, kind of keep track of that. And then we select a team member who threw it away and then select a reason for disposal. Then once I hit save, it would add it to that list. In fact, I can show you what that looks like because we've got some disposals that need to be thrown away. So this very top drop down, the one that says amaranth right now, at the very bottom, it says disposed of. And this gives me the option to actually go in here and see these. So now I'm looking at my actual list of disposed trays. So it tells me, what it was, what the seed lot was, who threw it away and why it was thrown away. And then basically I can, approve it using this little checkbox right here, or I can edit the record, or I can delete the record. So if they, did it by mistake or whatever, then I can get rid of that. And then I can click this export link here, and this is what you would give to your inspector. So it generates a Excel CSV file that you can email to whoever you want. It has every single disposal record, all the details you'd ever want to know, that you can email it to whoever or print out and give to them if you decide to go that route, which is really nice. So this is kind of like an easy way to keep track of what you've thrown away. So here's what an improved record looks like. And you'll see I can't edit this record, and that's per regulations. So you can't change the records once they're put into the system, because it's just regulation. That's how it is, unfortunately. If Joe's in here, he could tell you all about it. So, all right, so let's go back to Amaranth here. Yeah, so the other option you've got, if you decide you want to do things one by one, you can just scroll down and find, what's actually being harvested today. For the most part, I think we did all those. They're already in. Yeah, you can see we plant a lot of Amaranth. Yep, I don't see any. But anyway, so you can just hit this little add guy here. You can type in whatever the value was for that particular tray. If you want to go tray by tray for harvest weights, that's totally fine. So you can type in a number, hit add. It's going to add it right into the system, and it'll keep you on this page right where you were. So it kind of adds it dynamically, if you will. So that way, as you're going through and filling in a bunch of them, you don't have to keep refreshing the page and scroll all the way back down to where you were. It keeps you right there, which is really handy too. So that's kind of the general over idea for sowing. We have a lot in there for that, for sure. All right, so now some simpler stuff. Disposal reasons. This is just reasons why we would throw something away. Did it dampen off? Did it literally just die? Was it moldy? Was it too wet? Or was there another reason why we got rid of it? Maybe it was just too old. Maybe we forgot to harvest it. We left it on the top shelf and completely forgot about it, and it grew an extra week or something, and it wasn't any good. So these are all options that we created. Obviously, you can create your own, which is good. So, and then from there, you'll see the edit and delete options are grayed out. And the reason for that is because I actually have records that are in there. So again, per regulation, I can't actually allow folks to be able to edit these, because then it'll edit actual like FDA, USDA data. So basically we have never used the too wet one, so we can still edit and delete that one if we wanted to. Obviously you can see dampening off is definitely our number one over the last 3.5 years. We've thrown away 40 trays. And most of those were when I was on vacation that one time when a bunch of trays got heavily overwatered. So that was the majority of why those got tossed. But then obviously you can go in and add a new disposal reason. So it's really simple. I mean, it's just literally the reason, and that's it. Try and keep it easy, and then that way, when you go to actually add your records, you've got data going along with that. All right, so that's a simple one. So now we'll get into like the tasks and inventory. This section can be very powerful if you choose to use it. Everything in here is optional. You don't have to use any of this if you choose not to. I would highly recommend you do. Especially the tasks. That comes in extremely handy. So we'll go into that guy. So this is basically what we had to do today. So these are our, tasks that are actually assigned to Wednesday. So like number one, morning, first thing we do, harvest for commercial clients. Today's our harvesting day for commercial clients. Everything has got a, task name. It's got a due date essentially. So we could potentially finish that tomorrow because we deliver to them tomorrow. So it's a Wednesday or Thursday thing, but obviously we prefer to be done on Wednesday. Then everything has a priority as well. So it's high, medium, or low. So we know like at the end of the day, if these things don't get done, like we didn't empty all the trays into the dumpster today, we still have a lot more to take out. We're not super worried about it. It'll get done tomorrow morning. My guys were here from 9 a.m. until about 20 minutes before we started this thing. So they had a long day. It wasn't worth it, having them go out and throw out the trays and send them home so they could go enjoy the rest of the night. So obviously as these things are done, we check them off. But as you can see, we've got our morning tasks of harvest for clients. We've got our afternoon tasks of watering. This can be a morning task as well, but obviously we don't want to water in the morning on the day that we're harvesting. So we move that to an afternoon task. In this case, we actually add corn to soaking buckets, which we have all of our soaking automatic. So I can click on this link and it'll actually take me right to the to-do list section and show me exactly what we need to do. Plant Rambo radish in this case for 10-5. Move our Sunday crops from blackout to the light, move our Thursday bull's blood to blackout, bag up our commercial clients for tomorrow's delivery, miss the cantaloupe underweight, get our coolers down. We have a huge stack of coolers. My poor delivery driver can't reach them all, so I was trying to get them down for her. So even something as simple as this that could be easily forgotten, is added as a task, and it makes sure that you get it all set up. Empty trays in the dumpster, and then we have turn off any unreused rack lights, because obviously we're harvesting a lot today. So any lights that are left on, we want to make sure we shut those off so we're not just wasting electric. Which is really nice. So this, we can check these on and off. They're database driven, so it's not like you have to be on this screen. I can uncheck this and go other places and come back to it. It's going to remain unchecked, and vice versa. So once it's checked, it's checked. It's in the system. And if it's unchecked, it's unchecked. So it keeps things really simple. But this is what we use every single day. Every day the list is different, and you can actually assign those at the task level, so that way you just literally are not going to forget anything, which is awesome. And obviously you can move things around. So if your planting days change, your harvest days change, your delivery days change, whatever, it's really easy to change those tasks and assign them to different days, and reassign them. You can delete them, whatever, which is really cool. So this is kind of a dynamic thing that you basically put together yourself. So if I, for example, click on this Rambo radish, so we planted that today. If I click on 10.5 here, you'll see it takes me all the way to the bottom. It highlights the Rambo radish automatically, so I can see exactly what I need to do. In fact, we planted 17 trays. We obviously forgot to put them in the system, so I have to do that. But yeah, so it gives you an idea of what you need to do, which is really cool. Let me go back one. All right, so that's tasks at a high level. Cleaning records, same thing. So these are cleaning records that we've done recently. So all this different stuff is in here. Again, once it's approved, it's uneditable. So you can't actually change the record once it's actually put in there and approved. You can export those cleaning records to give to an FDA, person or whatever. You can add a new cleaning record. So this gives you drop down for your team member, the type of cleaning you have, which we have a huge list. I mean, even down to like cleaning the inside of coolers, the inside of refrigerators, cleaning the microwave in our, employee area, cleaning the shelf liners, cleaning sinks, cleaning the walls, everything. So every little tiny thing that we might clean is in this giant list. Again, I wish you could see it, but unfortunately the sharing thing doesn't allow it. The date and time that it was performed is filled in automatically. Obviously, you can change it to whatever you want. And if you want to add notes for some reason, you can. It's just there. I don't think we put notes into literally anything. So yeah, so once you actually add that record, in fact, I'll go ahead and put one in for one of my people. So I'll just say Maddie cleaned the refrigerators. I hit save. So now you can see it's telling me, hey, you got one cleaning record that needs approval. Shows up right at the top. So I can edit that cleaning record if I want to, or I can delete it, or I can approve it. And if I approve it, then it just automatically changes it to this. So I'm not obviously going to approve it because it's not real. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that guy. All right. So that's cleaning records. And I apologize, guys. I hope I'm not going too fast, but there's a lot to go over, and I'm trying not to make you guys be on here super long. All right, so check inventory. So tasks. I'm sorry, check inventory is probably a good one. So this page definitely needs some formatting. It just doesn't look that great yet, and it's something on my list to do. But basically, the things that are highlighted, it actually looks better in the regular light theme here. It's a little easier to read. So this anything that's highlighted in yellow in this case is actually past due to be checked for inventory. So essentially, you can set up to 4 weeks out to recheck items, and then it'll automatically highlight it again. So this way, you're never going more than a month without checking stuff that you have in stock. It's just basically a way to make sure they don't run out, because it'd be really easy to go, oh yeah, I'll check that in 3 months, and then next thing you know, you board a new customer that's buying 58-ounce packs a week, and you're running out of 64-ounce containers and not realizing it. So this doesn't allow you to go more than a month without checking whatever you put in this list. So this is all of our different, seeds. So again, when you get into categories, which we talked about earlier in the thing, this is where you're actually setting categories, so splitting things up. So we've got our grow kit supplies. We have our packaging, which I need to order more of. We have our bags, so all kinds of different bags: produce bags, grocery bags, Slim Jim garbage bags, seed bags, freezer bags, everything. Printed items, so business cards, subscription handouts, things like that. Any chemicals that we use in the shop, so like H2O2, dish soap, Xeritol, all that good stuff. Windex, even for cleaning the glass. Labels that we use in the shop to label, products that we were selling out front. All of our different packaging labels. Printer ink for the printer that we use. I mean, this is all stuff that we added, so it's a huge list. Miscellaneous items, break room items, so silverware, cups, napkins, all that kind of stuff. Office supplies, which is a huge list, all the way down to even toilet paper. So that way you're not going to run out of toilet paper for your employees. Coins we keep track of as well, because obviously we got to make sure we have change to give out in the shop. And then even trays. So if we get to the point where we run out of some trays, then we can go ahead and order more. And every single item that's on here, you can set it to either reorder. Again, I wish you could see the drop down. If I change it to reorder, it's automatically going to change that to red. And you also see this little icon right here says 4 now, and it says 4 down here as well, telling me I need to reorder 4 items. I can also then change this to check it again in a week, all the way up to 4 weeks. So, which is neat. So it's a really easy way to keep track of everything that you have in your system. It's not the most ideal way to do it, but it definitely works. And you've got a humongous list. It tells you exactly what needs to be checked. It highlights things that are overdue to be checked. But I mean, I have my employees literally one of the items in the tasks. So when they go to the daily tasks, one of the items it's 2 times a week is an inventory check. And their job is basically just to go through and check this list. So anything that's highlighted in yellow, they check it. And this keeps me sane too, because I mean, all this stuff that's in this list right now, they added yesterday when I wasn't here. So I know that stuff needs to be ordered. I've already ordered 2 out of those 3 things. I just want to leave them on there for demoing purposes for you guys today. So that's going through the check inventory. Tasks is just going to be managing your tasks. So in this case, I've got this whole list of tasks here. These are all the different things we do for every single day. This is eventually going to be broken out into like day sections instead of having them all piled on top of each other. So like Sunday goes right into Monday. But you can see like, your Sunday morning high priority things, your, midday or Sunday afternoon, medium things, low things, all that good stuff. And I haven't figured out a creative way to do this yet, but basically this little tag right here is what made that date be a link. So if you remember when we were first looking at the today's tasks, and I could click on that date, this is basically saying add 11 days of whatever today's day is, and have that automatically go right to that list, which is really cool. So I got to figure out some creative way to allow that to be easy to do, from a user standpoint, but that it does work. We use it all the time, obviously. But I got to figure out some way to make it easy for you guys to actually be able to add that without having to, just type in a weird bracket and some numbers. So that's going to be on the list of things that I'm going to do before the final release. So yeah, so this is all just a big giant list of tasks. This is all the different things that we do every single day. So adding a task is simple. You're just basically typing in the name, what day do you want to actually perform this? And this is another thing I plan on changing to where you can actually assign it to just say every day or choose multiple days. So this interface will probably change to be checkboxes, or something along those lines to make it a little easier. And then, what day of the week is it due? So if you remember, we had like a Wednesday, Thursday set up before. You're setting the priority level, and then you're setting the time of day. Is it done in the morning or in the afternoon? All right, so cleaning types, this is super easy. These are all the different cleaning types that we have. So as we're adding a cleaning record, it's going to go ahead and put, this drop-down list is going to show all of these. So and again, same thing, cleaning fridges, which we don't do very often, as you can see. I can edit and delete that one because we haven't actually, gotten any records for it, but everything else, that has records, we can't change it. So again, per regulation, those records are sealed and locked off. So inventory items is basically just a giant list of all your inventory items. These are all categorized, as you can see. So we got our category of seeds, grow kit supplies, all that stuff. So it's kind of like that one list you looked at, but this is just an area to manage those items. So when you add a new consumable, you're choosing the item name, the category that it falls in, the supplier that you're using to get it from, and you've got your primary URL that you use to buy it, your alternate URL that you use to buy it, and then the status. You can set it right away. If you're creating a brand new thing and say, I need to reorder this right now, you can do that, which is really nice. So that's an easy way to do that. So that's just managing those. So some of the stuff I'm going to go through a little bit faster because it's not really that prevalent, whatever it is. So inventory categories is where you're creating categories for your inventory items. These are all the different ones that we have. So it's really easy to add. It's literally just the name. I mean, that's all you're typing in is just the name. So they're super easy. Same with suppliers. So, we have all of our different suppliers that we use for a variety of different things. So that way it's just really easy to assign those suppliers right to different items, which is cool. So sales prospects, we've got our prospect list here. So again, all these are going to be all messed up because I'm going to, just for privacy purposes. So these are all different prospects that we have in the system, which I don't use this as much as I probably should, mainly because I'm too busy working on software. But works out good. So this allows you to basically add, a new prospect. You can put the company's name in, the status. In my case, this is actually the list of statuses that I created. So I have like closed, contacted, follow up, meeting scheduled, not contacted. And I can't even read what the last one is. I got stuff in the way. And then if you can add a follow-up date as well. So if there was a date that I said, hey, I want to follow up with this person, I can put it into the system. And from that, prospect view, it'll actually tell you with a little pop-up in the top, say, hey, you got some people you need to follow up with, and it'll highlight them in red. So you'll know who you need to follow up with if you accidentally forgot. Are they already using microgreens, or yes or no? And then you can fill in all their basic contact information. You can put in a primary contact, so if you have like the chef or the owner, and a secondary contact if you have like the manager or general manager or whatever, you can put their information in there as well. So it allows you to kind of keep track of where you are with your prospects. So unfortunately, I don't have a sample in here that shows you a follow-up that's overdue, but you get the idea. And then the really cool thing is once you land that person, this little button right here, you can click that and it will literally add them right into your customer list. So you don't have to worry about creating a customer account and all that crap. This just literally migrates them right over. So it makes it really easy to start adding them into your ordering system, which is really nice. And then prospect statuses. These are all ones that we've created. So yeah, replied, I guess that was the one that I couldn't see. So again, I can hit a new prospect status. I can choose whatever name I want to call it. And then I doubt you're going to see it. Yeah, you can't. So this pops up, that little color box there actually pops up a little pop-up window that picks colors, which is cool. So you can't see it in this view, unfortunately, but it is there. So that way, when you can assign the colors of these buttons exactly how you want them to look. And you can choose whatever you want. I've got code in there to automatically do contrasting colors for the text. So in case you can see, it's got black background with white text. This is a white background with black text. So that automatically gets handled. So you're not going to have like green background with green text on top of it. We're not going to be able to read it. So it does that automatically, which is really nice. So that's kind of the sales prospecty area. So again, it's just a real basic CRM. I mean, real basic, but it allows you to keep track of stuff. So I challenge my employees when they're at the end of the day, if they have nothing else to do, especially when the shop was open, then I would challenge them to go find sales prospects. They would look up restaurants and all that kind of stuff and add people into that system. And then I would follow up with all of them and kind of go from there, which worked out really cool. So just an easy way to keep track of who you're dealing with and what the status is on each one. So, all right. So seeds and grow medium. So you get into your seeds here. This is a pretty important screen. So you can see in this case, I got a little thing that popped up here saying that I've got 12 weeks or less of a couple different seed lots. So in your preferences, that's actually one thing you can set down here is to say, remind me when I have less than X number of weeks of seed left. Now, how does it know how many weeks of seed I have left? Because you have all your data in the system, it knows on average you're planting X number of trays every single week. It also knows how much seed you have left. So on the fly, it's going to tell you, roughly based on the current average of trays that you're doing per week for that particular crop, how many weeks you actually have left. So in this case, for amaranth, I've got 988 plantings left, and it's about 51 weeks roughly before I run out of seed. And then I'm sorry, plantings left 51. Yeah, weeks left is 19, so I have about 19 weeks left. And that's actually because I haven't added in the 20 pounds I just got from Greener Harvest the other day. So I got to put those in there too, get those guys updated. But would it also tell you, where your current seed lot is? So I had to order some stuff from Everwild because I couldn't find amaranth anywhere for a little while there. So obviously Greener Harvest is my #1 seed provider for sure. And it tells you exactly how much the bag cost me. And also tells me, what am I spending per gram? And my seeds per tray, in this case, I do 8 grams. I actually need to up that, and it's costing me about 55 cents per tray from this particular bag of seed. And you'll see it's telling me that's actually the current lot. So it knows, based on recent plantings, that this is the lot we're actually working through right now, and that this is a future lot that we haven't even opened the bag yet. So it kind of gives you a good idea. So it's basically taking both of those amaranth seeds, combining them into one, and making that determination. So we're doing, that's definitely not even close to what we're actually planting now as of 2 weeks ago. So it's way higher than that at the moment, but this is, it's still working its way through the average process over the last couple of weeks. But that'll definitely go up as time goes on. So same thing, you just go through all different ones, got arugula, brassica blend. In our case, it's a mix that we do, different types of broccoli, bull's blood, all that good stuff. And so you can see the ones that have, this is again, I need to enter in the seed I just got from True Leaf the other day. It's telling me, hey, you need to check this one. You've got 4 weeks of seed left. I have a 25-pound bag sitting about 3 feet from me that I haven't added into the system yet. But it kind of gives you that good idea real quick. And this is when we're actually phasing out. We're almost out of seed. But yeah, so that's kind of a neat way to just be able to easily keep track of stuff. So beyond having this on the snapshot page, which we showed very, very first thing, you also get that notification when you first load this page, that tells you, hey, You can see it, the little red one there. 2 of your seeds have less than 12 weeks left, and 12 weeks is what we picked. You can set it to 100 weeks if you want to. It doesn't matter. It's going to do the calculation automatically on the fly, which is really nice. All right, so seeds. So now custom seed lots. This page needs some work for sure. It doesn't look all that great. And this is one that, again, this is one of the last ones on my list to fix. So when you create a custom seed lot, basically it's going to assign an internal seed lot. Automatically, this number is randomly generated to make sure it doesn't match any seed lots that are already out there, which is really nice. And then, we have the mixes that we put in there, and it's got the actual individual seed lots from each of those seeds. So we know if somebody were to get sick for whatever reason off of this particular seed lot, we know that it was probably one of these 3 things. And if we found that people that were getting kale were also getting sick, and we can narrow it down to this KR1Y, very easily. And then adding new seed lots to that list. So as you're building one, you just literally pull from a dropdown, automatically adds it to this list. There's no additional form that you have to go fill out or anything. It's really straightforward because it doesn't matter how much seed you're putting in. Ultimately, it's just a seed mix. There's the seed is in there, that seed is in there, and that seed is in there. It doesn't matter how much of each one you put in because it's all in there. So basically, this is just, again, to be able to track back, any recall issues or things like that you may have. Hopefully nobody ever does, but at least you've got that option for sure, which is nice. So that's custom seed lots. Seed suppliers. This is kind of the list of all the people that we've definitely, have used in the past. These guys are now pretty much owned by TrueLeaf. This is where you want to go for sure. Josh is the man. He's got the best seed there is. So if you haven't gone and bought stuff from him yet, please do. Support another microgreen grower. It's good quality stuff. He tests everything before it goes out the door. The man it's awesome. Everything is amazing. So we're switching completely to him as we get rid of some of the stuff we have. And our primary one we used to use was Mums, which they're great seed. Don't get me wrong, but it takes like a month and a half to get it from start to finish, where Josh is real quick. Unfortunately, UPS always tends to beat up his boxes, but the seed bags are always in good shape when they come in. So it's not his fault. Blame UPS for that. So seed suppliers, and then grow mediums. This is where you're basically setting up your different grow mediums that you're using. So basically I can put in the price, and then I tell it how many trays I'm getting on average. So I'm paying about 93 cents roughly per tray based on the average number that we're actually using, which is cool. So it's really easy to add a new one. So you're just typing in the manufacturer. So if you're doing Coco Loco, for example, I'll just put Fox Farms here. This drop-down menu, again, you can't see it, unfortunately, but it's got soil, quar, hydro, compost, or none. So if you wanted to grow on a tray with nothing in the bottom of it, or a paper towel or something like that, you can probably qualify that as none, or maybe even hydro on that one. Depends on how you want to do it, but got all those different options. And then, for the model, I would put Coco Loco, and then you have the option to say if it's organic or not, just for your own knowing purposes, how much did it cost you, and then how many trays per bag are you getting on average. So at first, you won't be able to necessarily, figure this out until you actually go through a bag, to figure out how many trays you're getting. But once you do, make sure you go back and enter this in, and that'll give you your exact cost, per tray. Because you can't really do this by weight. I originally had it set up as weight back when I first started. I first built this system forever ago. And the problem is bags weigh different amounts. So obviously, it's not really truly accurate. You're better off trying to figure out how many trays you're using per, how many trays you're getting out of each bag. So we changed it to that. Which is a lot more beneficial and accurate. So, all right, so that's all that out of seeds and grow medium. Product mixes and pricings. This is where you're going to get into actually creating your products. So these are all the different products that we actually offer at the moment. So these are all the different crops that we grow. They're all in the same category of microgreens, really straightforward. So when you go to add a new product, you're basically, saying the plant variety. So if you're going to add like, China rose radish or Rambo radish, just type the full name exactly how you want it to appear in the system. And then the categories you can add on your own. And in this case, I've got fruits, herbs, microgreens, and vegetables. So that's just what we had. But you can do just microgreens, or you can do one category. That's it. I don't care. It's totally up to you guys. And then allow for subscription. You can have certain things that you could put in here if you wanted to where people couldn't really subscribe to it. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but for the most part, I just put it in there just in case. If you didn't want it to show up as a subscribable option when you're adding subscription products, it would just automatically take it out of that list. So you have pre-soak hours. You've got your seeding in grams in this case, like normal people do. No, just kidding. I know Mike does his analysis. I always give him a hard time. So you have the option. Again, this is all preference driven. So the grams would show up like that, or it'd be in ounces depending on what you actually picked. Your germination time. So this all comes in when you are looking at your to-do list. So if you say 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 7 days, whatever, it's automatically going to put that on through the to-do list. So this is where you have to make sure your numbers are correct. And if you do 1 day of blackout or 2 days of blackout or whatever, you can put that in here. And then the total harvest time. So if it's a 10-day total crop, you put 10 days. If it's a 14-day crop, you put 14, whatever, in harvest time. And then you can put some notes in if you want to. Then planting details. Remember earlier I was saying, it's going to have some planting instructions that are automatically generated. So these are some options that you can choose. So are you going to wait it during germination? Some people don't wait everything in germination. Are you going to use a heat mat? So for growing cantaloupe, for example, you'd probably set that to yes. Some people use H2O2 in their planting and some don't. So if you use both and you have some plants that you just water straight and there's other plants that you provide H2O2 to, then you have the option to specify that as far as when it's being planted. Are you planting it in a deep tray? Yes or no? Are you burying the seeds when you're planting them? So like beet, cilantro, things like that. You want to say yes. Are you putting it directly into blackout after planting? So we grow arugula that way. I think Mike also grows amaranth that way, if I'm not mistaken. So if you're putting something directly into blackout, there's no weight, on it whatsoever. You can do that. Or if you're putting it directly into the light. So for us, we put basil directly into the light under black humidity domes. We do celery the same way, things like that. So just neat ways to be able to like easily build some basic instructions, when you create the product. So that's all pulling out of that. Product categories, super, super easy. So these are all the different ones that we have. These are our products that are associated with it. So we've got 33, different microgreen products that we offer at the moment. And then the other 3 we just had in there when we actually sold farm items for real, when we had a real farm outside. So really these 3 could probably be taken out at this point. And then product mixes. So these are actual, this page definitely needs formatting. It does not look very good. So I apologize. This is on my list as well. Again, this is just a demo of where I'm at right now. So I hope you guys appreciate this. Product mixes, we have all these different mixes. These are the actual items that go in there and the ounces that go in each one. So I can edit those individually. I can delete them individually. I can add another, item to this mix, or I can edit the mix as a whole to change the name of it or whatever we decide to do. So these are kind of some of the mixes that we do. We don't do a whole lot. Really, it's not that big of a deal to us, but we will eventually once we start going more grocery store heavy at some point. But right now, these are all just the basic mixes that we do. So they're really easy to do. So that's one cool thing. And then pricing. This is another page that needs work as far as lookability, if you will. So these are all the different, products that we have. All of our pricing is listed there. We can edit each one individually. We can delete each one individually. And so that's all different price tags that we've got for each thing. And this is one really cool feature. So you can select this dropdown and say, I would like to make X number of dollars per tray. Is my pricing good enough based on my actual harvest weight? So if I choose, $5 per tray, for example, hopefully all of these should be green. It's telling me, for 2 ounces, I need to charge $4.78 based on my current yield. It goes all the way down to 1 ounce for some of these because I actually have, 1 ounce entries in there from a while back. So this tells you exactly like anything that's a green arrow, you're good to go. It means you're charging enough money for it. Whereas if I were to change this to like, let's say $30 a tray, some of these are going to be green, some of them aren't. So these guys are all red. When I get down to, apparently I'm charging enough for a 2 ounce cantaloupe, so that's good. And then curly cress, I'm definitely making some money on that guy. And then way down like sunflower, peas, things like that, they're usually way over. So because we get so much out of those yields. But this is just a really cool way to see, where you are. Are you charging enough? So if you want to make $20 a tray, this is an easy way to set your pricing literally based on your individual harvest data. So, it'll be different for everybody. If I change mine to $20 a tray and you change yours to $20 a tray, it's going to be all based on how much you're harvesting. So this is a really, really quick, easy way to determine, are you charging enough for all the different weights that you have? Really cool tool. I love that fact that this works as good as it does. And it gives you a real quick visual, of where you're going right and where you're going wrong on your pricing. And then obviously, some of these like the sunflower and the peas and stuff, and we're making a ton of money on because we're getting so much out of each tray. So we try and balance those out with some of the ones that we're not making as much money on, like the amaranth and things like that, where we're getting little teeny guys. So, so that's a really cool tool. Really, really handy. It's easy to add the product pricing. You just select the product that you want. You select the price you want to charge for it. And then in my case, I'm selling by ounces. Again, this is a preference driven thing. You could do grams, you could do whatever. You type in how much you want to charge for it, piece of cake. So that's how easy it is to add pricing. And you can add any size you want. Doesn't matter. There's no set sizes of 2 ounces, 4 ounces, 8 ounces, whatever. You can sell 0.74 ounces for all I care. It's all in here. It's all ready to go, which is really nice. So that's the kind of the general product build. Team training, I'm not going to do too crazy with this. I know a lot of you guys probably aren't going to need this, but adding team members, you're literally just adding their contact information. You're adding whatever their title is. You can edit and change those out really easily. Training topics is really cool. So some of these I still need to finish, but like we've got, all the different topics at a high end. So in this case, you got like bottom water and grow trays, and I can click on this little guy to actually look at the steps. So this is all the steps that we've got set up for that. We can obviously edit and delete them. And then you can also drag these around. So I don't have to add these steps in order. If I forget something, it's not really that big of a deal. So I can grab this little guy, drag it, move it wherever I need it to go. Makes things really easy, updates the database automatically. So it's really, really handy for that. And then the team training is where you're actually then training your people. So this is a drop-down list. If I go to my name, these are all things that basically I've trained myself on, if you will, even though I already knew all this. So I basically click on this, drop-down list. It's got, all the different, things that need to be done. So I can walk through this with somebody. And then if they hadn't completed it yet, I can go down to one. Let's see. Of course, I got to find one that actually has steps in it. There we go. So I can actually then mark this one as complete. So after I've gone through it with my employee, who obviously I pulled from this drop-down list up here to make sure I'm marking it as their training record, I can hit mark as complete. And then when I go back to that guy, you'll see it changed the little icon now to say that like this one's ready to be approved. So then I can go through and I know I did it, so I can hit approve. And now it's going to be a green check, which shows that it was actually finished. And again, you can't edit this or anything. It's all regulation driven, so these have to stay in the system. One of the things I still need to add is an actual export option for this as well. So you'll be able to export a report to give to the USDA or inspector, whoever comes in. So that's on my list as well. So that's all the kind of team and team training. I wanted to go through that kind of quick because I know you guys, most of that's not going to be relevant to you for the most part, at least not yet. So customers and orders, that snapshot page we went through earlier. Customers is really simple. In this case, you're adding a customer account, and you can see kind of like a real quick view. It's got their basic contact information. If they have a business associated with it, it'll have the business name listed underneath of it. Anybody who's canceled is an old account that has dropped off completely. Anybody who's postponed has been a customer, and they said, hey, I need to stop for a couple months. I'm out of town, or I've lost too much weight and I need to gain some back or whatever. I don't know. And in this case, we've got active, for different people. And it's got their phone number, their email address, which obviously this is all jacked up from, the thing that we talked about earlier, where it's got all the names scrambled on purpose. So, adding new customers, it's literally just adding their basic contact information. And it's not tied, it's basically the idea of having customers separate from your subscriptions and separate from your pre-orders is that way you can have one customer that can do subscriptions and pre-orders. So it basically allows you to tie that customer to anything, which is really nice. So it's kind of an easy way to, be able to use them for the future. So that's customers, then subscriptions. In this case, you can add a new subscription. It tells you, these are your active people. Are they delivery? If they're pickup, we find somebody who's pickup. So here's, picking up at Fresh Source Market, picking up at Fresh Source Market. And then you can basically from there, you can edit the subscription. So this has the person's name, again, from a drop-down list. So it pulls the whole list of all the customers that you added here. If it's delivery type, is it delivery or is it pickup? You have a status, and this is where that whole active, postponed, or canceled thing comes in. And then if they're a pickup, you can actually choose the pickup location that they're getting at. And then the discount option, this is really cool. So in the snapshot, when it's calculating the money that you're making, right? Let's say I'm selling these to a grocery store and I'm giving them a 30% discount off of what I would charge. You can put that number in here and it actually will make sure that your numbers are correct when it's going through your financial points and your reporting, which is really nice. So that way it's accurate. Because if I didn't put a percentage in, let's say I was selling to a CSA for 40% off or something so they could make money on it. If I don't put this in here, it's going to think I'm making 100%. So this is a great way to be able to keep, make sure your numbers are accurate. So if you're doing wholesale clients and things like that, this comes in really, really handy. So that way you can keep your pricing at a general level for your regular customers, but then give discount levels to your wholesale option people. So really cool to have that as an option. And then from there, you can add a subscription item really quickly to their account. So in this case, it's a drop-down list of all my products and all my prices. Again, I wish you could see this. It doesn't show up in the sharing, unfortunately. And then the interval, which has weekly, bi-weekly, tri-weekly, or monthly, depending on how you want to do that. And then the quantity drop down goes all the way to 200. So if you have 200 things going, again, Mike, this is another challenge for you. You get 200 of the same. Well, you actually might have that already with all your grocery stores. Get 200 of the exact same item going out to somebody. And then you can choose a start date. So let's say they signed up today and they wanted to start on Saturday. Well, clearly you're not going to have this stuff grown for them yet. So make sure you can add a date that makes sense for you to make sure that you're actually going to have enough. And what's really cool, if you remember, we were going through the to-do list earlier, and at the very bottom it showed you what you should have left roughly. If you have somebody that comes on board and says, "Hey, I'd love to start getting a pound of sunflower this week," you can look at your list and say, "I can make it happen," because you could see exactly how much you're actually going to have left, based on your current averages. So I use that all the time. So when we get a new subscriber and they want to start super easy and soon, it works out great to be able to set them up right away. And then you also have the end date. So if they say, it's only a 3-month subscription, or if you have somebody that says, I would like to stop getting broccoli on this day and I want to start getting Rambo radish that day instead, or the week after or whatever, you can have the broccoli end on a certain date and have the Rambo pick up automatically using the start date. Which is really nice. So that way, and that updates the entire system. So that to-do list that tells you what you need to plant, it pulls all this data as well. And the financials actually pull this data also. So when it's calculating what you're going to make in a year, it sees the end date and says, okay, I'm only going to add those numbers until that end date. So really comes in handy and make sure your numbers are accurate. And then this is really cool, the price tag option. We use this so when we're doing grocery stores, for example, we always give them the option, because we print all of our labels in-house, to choose their price. So we say, this is our recommended price. You can charge what you want, and we'll put the price tag actually on there for you. So we print separate labels for our grocery stores for the most part, and to make sure that they get the correct price tag on their label, we put that in there. So it's really simple. And then that way that pops up in the to-do list. In fact, I can go back and show you that real quick once we finish this last one. And then we also have this, what's called a buffer override. So what this does, let's say, for example, we have a chef that wants everything cut super short. So we basically put in a 50% buffer because we know we're going to have to plant roughly 50% more trays in order to be able to meet his order, because he's getting everything cut really short. So if you figure, if we take a microgreen that's this tall and we cut it in half, it's about 50%, of the original weight. So this allows you to automatically get those numbers recalculated in the to-do list. So when you go to plant, it's adding in that 50% buffer automatically to make sure that you're covered, which is really cool. And you also have a global buffer that you can set in the preferences as well. So if you wanted to make sure you're never run short, you can add a 10% buffer, 20% buffer, something like that, where you're always planting 10 or 20% extra of everything. But this also gives you the option to do that at an individual level as well, which we do use this because we have some chefs that actually like their stuff really, really short, unfortunately. So we make sure we plant enough to cover their order, because we definitely don't want to come up short on our end. So let me show you real quick. I'll just jump over here real fast back to the to-do list, and I'll go to tomorrow. That's technically what we harvested today. And then, for example, let's see, it's a little bit harder to read, obviously, because we got these, everybody's names are all scrambled, so I have to look at what they're actually ordering. All right, so here's an example. It's hard to see. Oh, you know what? I never even showed you guys this part of it. Oh, man, geez, I skipped completely over this. So this, one neat feature about this, and this works on tablets and phones and whatever, is that you can actually click on what it is that you want to harvest. So let's say I wanted to do spicy salad mix, right? So it's going to give me this little pop-up window that comes up over top, and it says I need 2 ounces, 15 2-ouncers, 7 more 2-ouncers for this individual person, and 2 8-ouncers for this person. So this pops up automatically. And here's where that price tag thing comes in. So it's basically saying all these guys, their price tag should be $4.99. These guys just get a regular price tag because it doesn't show anything. And when I click OK, it automatically highlights all of the spicy salad mix. So that way, when I'm done, I can easily check all these boxes. They're really simple to find. So you can see everywhere the spicy salad mix is mentioned, it's automatically highlighted. And the cool thing is, obviously, they would be normally unchecked. Once I check them, it automatically unhighlights the item as well. So, which is really nice. And if you miss one, like, oh shoot, I didn't even see that one. You can check that one, and it'll automatically unhighlight it too. So that's definitely one cool feature. So if I go to broccoli, see a different view. Go to sunflower, see a different view. So it works out good. And this one is part of that mix, which is why it's still there. We never bother checking off the mix things as we go through them. But yeah, so it gives you an idea. So these guys get a $14.50 price tag. They get a $4.99 price tag. So it gives you that organization level if you choose to use it. If you have all kinds of crazy prices for different things that you harvest. So that's kind of subscriptions at a whole. I think I went through everything. Yeah, I think so. All right, so then pre-orders, very, very similar. In this case, this is just a one-time order. So this one here, it's actually a little harvest dinner that we're getting ready to do. They do it once a year. They always order stuff from us every year. It's a local farmer, dinner essentially, farm to table, literally from all Cecil County where I live, places, which is cool. So in this case, I just put in a one-time order for them, and I can edit that order again. So if I go in here, it's the Wellwoods, the name of the place. And delivery type is delivery or pickup, and then the date that they actually want to get it, and then the pickup location if it's applicable. Jeez. And then the products, I can hit this little guy to add products, or I can look at what they're actually getting. So actually, this is my sample list that I'm bringing to them. So we're bringing samples. We're actually have the ability to give out samples before the thing. So I'm bringing little samples of some of the stuff we grow, not a lot of it. So again, quantity, it's really easy to add. You're just choosing what you want, what the size is, what your price is. Then you're adding the quantity that you want, and that's pretty much it for that, which is cool. So that's pre-orders in a nutshell. And then deliveries, this is really neat. So this is all the delivery addresses that we go to now at the moment. And same as the training topics, you can drag and drop these at any time you want. And then when you click on this preview delivery route, as you're changing these around, it'll automatically update what this button does, and it'll take you right to Google Maps. So literally before you even get to the point where you have to worry about it on a Saturday or whatever you deliver, you can click this, make sure it looks good, make sure you got a nice big circle or however you decide you want to do your Google Map structure, and it's awesome. So this way it allows you to go through the process of getting all your delivery addresses in the order that you want them to be, which is cool. So and then so we deliver 2 days a week, and when we go through in the to-do list and we click that delivery address button, it only shows you the deliveries for that day. So it's not going to have your whole list, obviously. If people canceled for some reason that week, then it won't show up in the delivery addresses either, which is really handy. So it's literally the delivery addresses that are for that day with those customers who are still set to get stuff, which is really, really nice. So this is huge. I mean, especially when you get to 30, 40 deliveries. I don't even know what we're at this point, different addresses that we go to. It's so nice because I literally click deliveries and it pops up Google Maps. I can text it right to my delivery driver. I don't do a daggone thing. It's already ready to go. It's in the correct order. It's awesome. So that comes in super, super handy. Yeah, and then pickup locations. This is where you're just assigning different pickup locations that people can pick things up. So like we allow people to pick up things at the farmers markets that we used to do. And then obviously the fresh source market that we had for a little while there. So then you're just literally adding a pickup location. It's really obvious, and we're going to go through that. You're just putting in the name and then the location and the address. And then last but not least in that list, and see if I can click it, it's just out of view. Yeah, so here's canceling a subscription week. So really simple. You literally pick the subscriber from the drop-down list. You pick the date that they want to cancel from whatever it is, and you hit cancel, and that's it. And if you did it by accident or you picked the wrong date, it shows you your list right down here. You can easily just click, the delete button. It'll take it right off the list. Nothing too crazy. So that comes in really, really, really handy. So when you got somebody on vacation for a week or somebody leaves for a couple months or whatever, it's really simple. You just go in and cancel their weeks, and it takes it right out of the system. You don't have to worry about planting things by accident, all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely a key option to have. So yeah, so then update profile. I'm not going to bother going through that. It's just updating your contact information. Preferences, I definitely will go through. So you can put in your financial goal, how much you want to make per year. You can put in your seed weight. In this case, we use grams by default, and you have the option to do ounces as well. So that's what you're planting basically. So you use grams or ounces, and then your harvest and packaging weight. Again, I wish you could see these drop downs. There's grams, ounces, kilograms, and pounds. So if you really wanted to go crazy big and get into kilograms and pounds, you can do that. Date formats, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different date formats you can do. So you can do the year going first. You can do the day going first. You can do the month going first. You can do it with the slashes instead of the actual hyphens. I mean, it really doesn't matter. You can choose whatever one you want. This also gives you the option to change the theme. So you can click this little button in the top left, or you can just do, change it down here to wherever it is, the theme. So that's really nice to be able to change light and dark. So that's the only options we have is just those 2 themes. I figure that would be plenty for what you guys need. And then this is where you're telling the system, warn me X number of weeks before I run out of seed. So 12 is the default. That's what it'll go in as when you create an account. You can change obviously to whatever you want, but it comes in really handy. We would suggest at least 6 weeks, just because by the time you figure it out, sometimes it could be a little bit late, and that way, if you're way ahead of the game, you're never going to run out of seed. Josh will keep you hooked up anyway. So as long as you keep going through greener harvest, you'll be all set. And then you got harvest buffer weight. So we still have this set to 20%. When we switched from Pro Mix, it really jacked our numbers up. I'm sorry, we switched to Pro Mix. We were losing about 20% per harvest buffer. We're still working through the numbers to get ourselves back up to normal. So I still have that set at 20. I'd rather have trays left over than not have enough. So I'm totally cool with that. We'll probably bump this back to maybe 10 here soon. And then you have the option to hide the getting started guide. So up here on the menu, I have it set up to be showing it now, but once you get through it all, you can actually choose to hide that. So that way, when you're done going through that process, you don't have to bother having that on the menu anymore. You can obviously turn it back on anytime you want. And then if you're demoing this for somebody like I am right now, you can actually scramble your customer information. So in this case, I got it set to yes, which is why all my customers look really bizarre, but I can change this back to no, and everybody will show up normally. And then this is a really cool feature. This is something that's going to be kind of community based. And I thought it would be really neat. So this way, you actually have the option to share data anonymously. So if you wanted to share kind of your financial goals, your subscription information, not like actual contact information or anything, but like kind of where you are financially and compare it to other people, so you could actually see like in that original graph on the very first screen where it showed kind of where you sit, you could see where, kind of a line related to where you are in amongst all the people that are in the system. It'd be something cool to do in the long term. It's not something we're going to have right away because obviously there won't be, data at first. But I thought that would be just kind of a fun thing so that way you can get an idea kind of how good or bad you think you're doing. And plus it can help drive you. I mean, if you find, you're in the bottom 20% or something, you're like, well, crap, I need to get my stuff together and get moving here. So hopefully I can, you can use that kind of like a driving force to push you along. So and then also, have harvest weights be shared anonymously. So if Mike's growing beets and he grows them extremely well and he's getting 10 to 13 ounces and I'm over here getting 7, if I'm lucky, then I can say, oh, well, crap, I must be doing something wrong. And then I can look at, Mike's planting methods if he chooses to share that information. So it's not going to tie directly to him. It's not going to say, Mike from Itty Bitty, this is how he does it. It's just going to say, this particular grower, here's getting 10 to 13 ounces out of his beets. This is what he does. And that would tie back to your product setup. So when you said, this is how I do it, I plant it in deep trays, I germinate it for 3 days or 7 days or whatever, that all would be shown as general information. So everybody who's in the system can get better at growing with everybody else, which is, I think, a really powerful tool.
Yep.
To have access to. So go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, definitely. That's a awesome feature. You can see what other people are doing and stuff. That's amazing. How many people are loving this program and are ready to whip out the credit cards yet? This is a very detailed program, but the right details. It's not over what you don't need. It's exactly what you need to run a successful business. This is, I believe, going to take us to the next level. Seedleaf helped us go to the level we're at and get out of spreadsheets. This program is just like that on steroids. It's amazing. This is obviously my second time going through this with Andy. We've went over it. This is even more detailed now that he's got more stuff done with this program. It's amazing. I can't wait till it's completely 100% done. I think you're gonna have a beta, right? Testing.
Yep. We are going to be opening up beta testing. Hopefully in the next few weeks. It's getting very close. I mean, we're actually using it now. So we had our old system that was just, wasn't user driven or any of that kind of stuff. And it looked far worse than this. So we, migrated over to it just a couple days ago. So we're now officially live ourselves. So I've got my employees beta testing it at the moment. And then obviously we'll get to the point where we launch it out to the beta testers and go from there. So I will post the link to our beta testing group. Yeah. So if you guys are on Facebook, I know not everybody likes Facebook. I don't care for it. I wouldn't have it if it wasn't for owning a business, but it is what it is.
Exactly.
So let me copy and paste some links here. So if you're not in the Microgreen entrepreneurs group that I have on Facebook, I'm going to put the link in the chat. This comment has failed to post. What? Let's try that again.
Why he's doing that, if you have not voted yet, make sure you vote for the name. There's a clear-cut winner right now, but when you click on it, it's going to tell you which one it is that's winning. So if you haven't voted, go ahead and do that.
So I'm going to have Jess or Mike post. For some reason, I can't comment in the comments, so I'm going to post them into the private chat with us, and that way we get those shared out there. So, for the first link, That's our, oh yeah, thank you, Jess. So Jess just posted the beta testers link. So get into that group on Facebook. That's where we'll be posting most of the updates. And basically anybody who's in that group is going to have beta testing access to get in. So basically once I've got some kind of onboarding tool in place, like a form or whatever to fill out to get you on board, then I'm going to post that out there and you guys can join in from there. So that way everybody will have the opportunity to actually beta test the software. And one of the things that's also in there that I didn't show is that the bug and feature list, so you have the option to report bugs, request features, and things like that. So obviously, bugs that absolutely have to get fixed are going to get fixed right away. Features, it's going to be dependent. You can also comment in these in the bugs and features as well. So, and I'm probably going to add in like an upvoting option as well. I haven't done that yet. Then that way you guys can kind of upvote features and stuff like that, because obviously, a feature that I may not think is that handy, if 200 people say, yep, I'd love to have that, then they're probably worth building in. Yeah. So, and that's one thing I want you guys to keep in mind. I mean, I'm the developer. Like, I literally hand wrote all of this code myself. I'm also a microgreen farmer. And for those of you that don't know us, I mean, we're at 36 racks at this point. We're getting ready to jump up to 42. We're in a 2,000 square foot facility right now. We're getting ready to move into a 4,000 square foot facility. This is the software we literally have used since we started. And it's the only reason we're as far as we are. I mean, having this information, I can sleep at night. I can literally sleep at night comfortably knowing that all my data and all my customers and all my subscriptions are being handled, and my tasks are all getting done every single day. My inventory is always up to date. My harvest stuff is always correct. It's awesome. I mean, if you're using Excel sheets and struggling through that, it's just like, this makes it an absolute breeze. And to know that this can grow with you. It handles employees. It handles training. It handles inspections. All these things that aren't needed, but when you get to that level, you're going to be super happy you have it, and I would highly suggest anybody who, if your goals are big, start using that stuff now, because then when the inspector comes in, you could be like, here's my cleaning records, here's my training records, here's my disposal records. They're gonna be like, whoa, really? They're not going to expect that. So
no, definitely not.
It's really cool. So that's definitely the big benefit of the whole thing.
Well, Andy, you ready? You ready to get in some questions? We got like 60 starred things over here. So
yeah, absolutely.
Probably will answer a lot of the questions that we may have gone over, but that Andy's already gone over. But we'll get into them and see what they are. Have Jess come on and start asking these questions for Andy.
Yeah.
All right.
I appreciate. I want to say too, real quick, I appreciate all you guys coming on and checking this out, and I appreciate you hanging on all this time. I know it's been an hour and a half, but as you can see, there's a lot.
Yes,
a lot to cover, and I was going through it quickly.
Yes,
that was actually a really good speed run, actually.
Yes,
yeah, I was trying to do it like not too fast, but get the idea across that it does a whole lot, and that's the one cool thing. So anyway, all right, let's get on to questions. I don't want to waste any more time, you guys.
All right. So Anthony wanted to know: does this need to be connected to the internet to work properly?
Yes. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I mean, like any app or any of that kind of stuff. I mean, you're always going to have to be online. And this is mobile friendly. I'll show you real quick here. If I turn this little piece on, I can drag this guy down. So you see it's going to automatically resize everything, to fit the screen. Awesome. So your menu is still there, and everything else. So it definitely will. It's I can't even think of the term for it right now. But yeah, basically it automatically shrinks and, expands based on the size of the screen. So you don't have to worry about that. It'd be a waste of my time to not build it mobile friendly.
Yep.
Yes, for sure.
But yeah, you definitely have to be connected to the internet, 100%.
All right. So that clears off a couple of the questions. I'll clear them off as we go here. Aspen would like to know, does inventory or some other part of the app look into and tell you the max amount of shallow and deep trays you'll need or for the crops you plan to sow? So dependent on like shallow versus deep trays. Does it tell you that?
It does not. It could, because part of the setup is actually choosing if you're using a deep tray or a shallow tray. So yeah, we definitely could actually build that in. It's a very good point. I'm actually going to add that to my little list here, which I'm sure we'll be adding lots of stuff to.
Might get a lot of good ideas tonight.
Yeah, that's the point, man. But that's why I want to get into this, because so yeah, deep versus shallow tray.
That is awesome, Aspen, because that is something that we do as well. We plant in shallow and deep both. So triangle and basil right now because of Andy. So I'm gonna have to order more trays because of Andy, but he had to order more trays because of me with the beets. So I guess
that's true. I did. We just traded out that painful process of buying more bootstrap trays.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, thank you, Aspen. That was a great recommendation. Yeah, and luckily the data's already there, so all I have to do is just build it in.
All right. I saw this a couple times and worded a couple different ways. Does this send data anywhere? Does it, or is it kept within the app? And is it secure?
Yeah, so the data is kept within the app on purpose, so that way nothing's getting sent anywhere else by accident where insecure things can open up. And just for quick background, I've literally been developing high-end database-driven websites since the 90s. So this is my bread and butter. This is what I did for almost 30 years prior to actually starting with Microgreens. So I've been there, done that. I've built many systems that have had hundreds of thousands of users in them. So yeah, it's nothing you're going to have to worry about. Obviously, it's running on a secure server. We're going to run it on a really good web hosting company that keeps everything separated. So the database is on one, the application's on another. All the database calls that are being made are secured. Everything is double checked before it's sent to the database to make sure all your data is safe. And obviously, everything is user ID driven. So what Mike adds to the system, I'm never going to see, and what I add to the system, Mike's never going to see. It's all completely separated on purpose. This isn't my first rodeo. That's basically how I'll put it. I've built like huge loyalty rewards programs for radio stations, big radio stations, and things like that. I've built systems that have managed, overseas shipments of vehicles and all kinds of different stuff. This is small potatoes compared to some of the applications I've built over my years of doing this. So yeah, you can definitely trust it. I wouldn't be using it myself and be in here as well with everybody else if I didn't think it was under control.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Side note on that. This is very comprehensive. Will this be connected to Zapier? That would be tremendous to sync with other apps that I use. A side note, Exuberant also uses local line and a delivery app. So
nice. It could be. It won't be for version 1. I can tell you that for sure. I mean, at this point, I'm just trying to get it out the door to get it usable for people. Over time, I want to try and build in some integrations, especially through like Square and their API that they have and some other things, in hopes to be able to like automatically have subscriptions and things be added back and forth. That will be in time. So yeah, Zapier is definitely on my list of things to play around with because I want to try and get. I actually want to use that myself for some certain things as well. Yes. So. It's definitely on my list of things to look into a little bit deeper. But for right now, I just want to get this out there so people can use it because there's so many people that are struggling with Excel sheets right now that are hating life every single week, having to figure things out. So this is going to help an immense amount of people, even the way it stands right now. But
for
yeah,
sure.
I definitely want to do some integrations down the line. And obviously, a lot of that's going to depend on how many people get signed up, to make it worth it for me or not. So let's make sure we get it shared out there. I plan on putting some kind of a referral system in. So where you guys can get some money off of the program each month or whatever. I haven't figured out what that's going to be yet, but I've thrown some ideas around. But there'll definitely be a referral program in place for sure. So the hope would be that you can make some extra money off of who you're bringing in.
And guys, if you don't know, when somebody launches a new product, they get an MVP out there, minimal valuable product. So it's ready to use. You can use it, but it's not done. It's definitely not going to be done. He's probably going to have 3, 4, 5 versions of this as it goes along and updating it. So it will get better with time. So
and it'll never really be done.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of those things. It's like when you buy a house, it's not like you move in and the house is going to stay the same for the rest of time.
Yeah.
You'll paint rooms, you'll remodel things. I mean, it's just the way it goes. And there's definitely some like flow things that I want to build out a little bit better to make things a little bit faster to set up and easier to, go from step 1 to step 5 without having to go through 5 separate steps. So all that kind of stuff will be probably the first thing I do for version 2 is just to make it a little bit easier and faster to use. Because it's a lot. I mean, there's a whole lot of things you're looking at, obviously.
Yeah. Dragonfly wanted to note, so if my internet is down for whatever reason, will the program not function?
Yeah, I mean, it's a website. So ultimately, you need the internet. But I figured like between having, hotspots available on your cell phone, things like that. And obviously, if you load this page before your internet goes down, it'll still be there, that kind of stuff. But really, without internet, you're not going to be able to do a whole heck of a lot. That's why, but with hotspots and internet connections pretty much everywhere, it's no different than any app or anything that you would use on your regular phone. I mean, without internet, 99% of apps don't typically work, except games, because they load all the crap right to your phone.
Yeah.
And obviously, as time goes on, if this really takes off, I mean, I would not be against developing an app for Android and iPhone. So that's going to be on you guys, to make it happen. If we get enough traffic coming in and enough profit coming in to where we can justify the cost, then absolutely that'll be one of the future steps for sure.
For sure. Dredsing did wanted to say, looks like I won't be have to live life in Excel for the rest of my life. Thank God.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, man, this is life changing. You won't realize it until you really get in and start using it, but holy cow, does it make things so much easier. So much easier.
Okay. And I think you pretty much answered this. So once we have the app, our file/database lives in the cloud, not on the
It
desktop.
does. Yep.
Correct.
Yep. It's in the cloud. Yep. On very, very secure servers on purpose.
All right.
That way you can access it from anywhere. You can be on vacation and pull this thing up and look at it.
True. Very true.
Which is kind of funny because I can be, when I was on vacation, when my guys were harvesting, I was able to see all of these things that they were checking off as they were going. So I could tell how far along they were, by literally just refreshing the page or whatever and seeing it. So same with the tasks. I could tell what they've already gotten done. I mean, that's the one neat thing is you kind of, without physically being there, see where things are, which is kind of handy.
Yes.
So sorry, Jeff.
Oh, you're fine. John Claus wanted to say, it's built to add team members when you're ready. So question, do I just put my credit card and number in the chat to get it or grab his man purse?
You forgot the first part of that where he said nice.
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 Yes. Grabbing
Yeah, no,
now.
don't put your credit card in the chat, please.
Andy will have a lot of buys right away.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. Yeah, I appreciate that very much, man. And John emailed me yesterday because he's not a Facebook guy, so we're gonna get you set up, man. Don't worry about it.
For sure. So we can change ounces for grams. Yes, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Like I can now plant in grams again.
Yeah.
And harvest in ounces. So that's going to be great.
Yep. So you can do your seed weights in grams or ounces and your harvest weight in ounces, grams, pounds, or kilograms. So if you go by 0.25 pounds or whatever, you can do it that way. Doesn't matter to me. All the calculations are in there. So.
Let's see, Aspen, could you ask the system to tell you to fill all trays needed for the next week?
That could be in a task, right?
I mean, yeah, it could be a task that you'd set up, but yeah, it's not good. I wish it would. That'd be super, super handy. I would spend all of my time building that system.
For sure. All right. Side note, do you keep track of the lot number on your growing medium or only the seed?
We only keep track of it on the seed.
Is there a lot number on the bags?
Yeah, there might be.
It's a production number with a production date and stuff. So there'd be a code on the bag. I never.
Yeah, I mean, the challenge is when you get to the level where Mike and I are, you're planting 4 bags a day, sometimes. So it's like, it'd be really tough to keep track of the actual bags of soil as well. But I mean, ultimately, when you do a recall, for the most part, it's 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the seed, not the soil. That's going to be the actual issue. So as long as you're buying reputable seed from people like Josh at Greener Harvest Seeds, you're never going to run any problems with that unless you do something stupid on your end. Yeah. So for the most part, the seed lot number is what they're typically looking for.
Yes, for sure. Let's see. I'm using local line at the moment. That's another person doing local line. Will this integrate into that POS?
Yeah, not yet, but eventually it could. Yeah. I just want to get it out there and get it used and get it started. That's really the goal.
For sure. Uncompleted tasks, will they show up the next day?
They will not.
Okay.
They will not. So that's the whole point of why things have to be done. Oh, well, I guess, let me take that back. If you have something that says it needs to be done on Wednesday, but it can also be done on Thursday, it will show up on that Thursday. Something that has to be done that day is only going to show up for that day. I mean, obviously the idea would be that you're going through that task list and getting all those things knocked out, but yeah, it does not carry over to the following day.
Yeah. All right. Thomas wanted to note that he played with seed leaf, so this looks pretty easy.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Good stuff.
I've never seen seed leaf. Funny enough, I actually demoed this software before, our version of it, for Chris at one point when he was putting together seed leaf, because I had really no plans on doing something like this. So I showed him exactly what we had. I'm not sure what he took from it. Obviously, I've never seen it. But ultimately, I'm hoping he took some of the cool features out of it. But,
yeah, some of it's there for sure. We use Seed Leaf to run our business currently. So, it just doesn't have everything this has on it. Like I said, this is the steroid version of Seed Leaf. So he definitely used some of it. Seed Leaf's awesome. It's where we're at. Chris is a great guy. He's also a microgreen farmer that did a program. So he doesn't grow as much as he used to, but he's still involved in the business. And but this is just the steroid version, guys. This is where you're going to be.
Yeah, I don't want to downplay Seed Leaf at all. Chris did an awesome job putting it together. Awesome guy, super good guy. He's got a ton of great YouTube content. So if you haven't watched some of his microgreen videos and stuff, please get out there and do. Phenomenal dude, very, very talented farmer. He knows his stuff inside and out. He's probably far better than most of us at actually growing vegetables.
Yes.
Because he has like actual degrees in it.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
But yeah, I don't want to downplay Seed Leaf at all. This is just what we've used for years, and I finally got to the point where I've had the time because of my employees, to be able to put this together. So, which I've been slaving over for the last week to try and get this demo ready.
I think you answered this already. Aspen Leaf asked labels and seeds. Can you tell it automatically to flag it order once you reach X level? Example, 1 pound of sunflower left, flag me to order it, or for labels.
Yep.
So, yep.
Yeah, I don't have it for labels only because like I would have to build in all the different numbers of labels that you're using per sheet and all that kind of stuff. It could be built in if enough people want that, but for the most part, we just keep track of labels as a whole, at the inventory level. So we check it on a regular basis. We know roughly how many labels we use each week. So we just go, okay, we have maybe 10 weeks left, so we'll order some more or whatever. So yeah, I mean, it can be built in. I think that's kind of like really granular at that point.
I would say the best point is just to set up a task once a month or something to check your labels or whatever you need to do it to set up a task for that. Or you can just, like we do, we just set up on an automatic order. So they just come every 2 weeks for us. We don't even have to think about them.
Yeah, but the easiest thing, I mean, you can add it as an inventory item into the system and just have it be part of your regular checking inventory, and then add a task to actually check your inventory.
Yep.
You can do every day, every 2 days, every week, whatever you want to do. It's up to you. But that's how we do it for us. I mean, literally, we check the inventory, and it's one of the many items on our list is our labels. So yeah, it works out good.
I think it'd be all right.
I think okay.
I will be honest. There was one program I built way back for a radio station, and they launched, and it literally took their server down the first day because they had like hundreds of thousands of people trying to sign up for this thing, and they did not have a good server ready for it. So yeah, it'll be on a very, very nice system that you're not gonna have to worry about it crashing or anything.
Fabulous. Josh wanted to know if there's going to be training videos or another form of training available on the program itself.
Eventually, yes. For right now, the getting started guide is all I put together. I mean, obviously, my goal is to get it out the door. Once I get into beta testing, then I'll have more time to do stuff like that. The problem with making a training video too early is that a lot of stuff can change, and then the video is not accurate. So you have to redo it and shoot new things and stuff like that. So once I know it's good to go and I feel good that it's ready to be, pushed out to the public as a viable product, then absolutely I'll make sure we put together videos for either each section or just kind of go through each piece individually. Which also, and this is kind of inside information, but we plan on actually having itty bitty micro farms instructional videos in there as well. So if you're adding beets for the first time and you don't know how to grow them, the video will be right there associated with the beets. So you can easily pull up videos and actually see their stuff and how they do it, which I mean, he's already got them all made. So it just seemed to make sense. And obviously Mike and I work together on a lot of things. So I want to make sure I get him taken care of as well. So those will be in there too at some point. Not yet. I'm waiting for them to give me a list.
Yes, we will get
that. We just talked about like 2 days ago. So.
Yeah. Not that we had anything to do in the last 2 days.
Yeah, exactly. Now you had harvesting and delivering to do. Come on.
No. All right. Dajim Ham wanted to know, I just want to know if it will be online as he is growing and selling too. I don't want them to see how much I am selling for who I am selling and so on.
Yeah, no, I mean, and again, that's optional. You can choose to provide that as a financial thing shared, anonymously. And it won't say any of your customers, any of that stuff. It'll basically just say, here's what this individual, not mentioning your name or anything. It'll just say this person has a goal and their goal is X, Y, and Z, and they're X percentage towards their goal. Or, it could have like a thing where it says like, in the mix of everybody, you're, in as far as where you fall percentage wise, you're in like the 50% rate as far as everybody else. So no data whatsoever will be shared to anybody other than just your actual individual financial points. And that's it. So no one's going to have any clue how much you're making, who your customers are. It's just going to be shared anonymously. So it's not going to be tied to anybody's account or any names or anything. It's optional. You can turn it off if you don't feel comfortable with it. Totally fine. Again, it's a driven thing. If I log in there and see I'm in the top 20%, I'm going to be like, hell no, man, I want to be in the top like 80, 90%. So I'm going to bust my butt to get there. So it's kind of just to give people that drive to want to push themselves harder and, go in every day and be like, oh yeah, I made it to the top 40%. Now I'm in the top 50% or whatever. That's kind of the idea, just to kind of motivate people.
Yeah. See where you're going. See if you're moving up in Microgreen. And yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, but all the data
kind of
is anonymous. So
definitely. Yeah, it's all anonymous and it's totally optional. You can choose not to share it. And that's totally fine. It's completely up to you how you want to do it. The idea was just to kind of give people motivation kind of help people in the community that's this community inside of this software system. Be able to see where they fall, but also get the harvest weight data from other people and how they're growing things from other people. But again, no information tied whatsoever. They'll just say a grower is managing to get 13 ounces out of their beets. Holy crap, how do I do that? And then you can go and see how they actually do it. So, which is cool. So it'll help everybody get better. That was the idea.
The voting, just let you know, if you haven't voted, go ahead and vote. That will be coming up shortly. We'll be naming the name, and it is getting closer on the vote right now.
Ooh.
So make sure you vote.
Nice.
All right. This demo will be on YouTube. We will not be taking this down.
This will be living
for
forever.
Everybody. So you can watch it over and over again and dig through, because it was a lot of information to process.
Yeah.
Download it. You do whatever you need to do. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Pricing you kind of touched on that isn't quite there yet. We don't know yet.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be at this point. I'm thinking it's
$97 a week.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
It should be. I mean, it's you got to understand, people. There is tens of thousands of hours of coding into this that have gotten it to this point. It's a lot of time. But I'm probably going to be in the $15 to $20 a month range, maybe a little bit lower. I haven't made that determination yet. But again, I'm going to offer referral options, and one of those referral options that I'm toying around with may actually allow you to get the system for free if you refer enough people. So, the price shouldn't scare people, because ultimately you can get it for nothing, which is really cool. So, and obviously you can help yourself get to that point. So that's one option I'm toying around with. It's, I'm kind of still in that ballpark of about $15 a month, which is 50 cents a day. How much is your sanity worth?
way more.
Yeah. 50 cents a day, even if it was $20 a month, it's less than $1 a day. It's, this is literally what's going to allow you to sleep at night, literally. So, I'm telling you right now, I sleep like a baby every single night, despite having a crap load of customers, a crap load of things to harvest, 2 employees, 6, part-timers, 2 full-timers. And these guys, this is what allows them to get their job done every day. The task list shows them what they need to do. The harvest list shows them what they need to harvest. It's a no freaking brainer. 50 cents a day. You'd be stupid not to go this route. I'm sorry.
just to equate it to what, because we talked about Seed Leaf and we talked about this program and what this one does way, much. It's virtually what he's talking about in price. It's going to be virtually about the same price you'd pay for Seed Leaf. So you don't get checklists. You don't get daily tasks on there. You just get, hey, what you need to plant, what you need to do. You don't get the option to order seeds and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Someday that might be on there, but that's not today. And I don't think he's going to go that direction at all. So this is where you want to go. If you want to run a business and you want to do a business as a microgreen business, this is what your program that you want to use.
Yeah. And what's cool is, this is what we use at our level. So this will give you an idea of the amount of stuff, that's involved when you get to this point, all the different things with the inspections, with the inventory tracking. The last thing you want to do is run out of something. That'd be the worst case scenario. You're out of seed, or out of packaging, or out of soil. God forbid you get to a day when you got it.
It's happened.
Yeah. You know how many times that's happened to me? 0. And you know why? Because I use this.
Yeah. We're 3 days away from planting and we're going, oh crap, I don't have enough of XYZ to do that. And then you're scrambling to figure stuff out. So this will solve all that problems.
Yep, that's it. So I'm telling you right now, man, this has saved me 1,000 times over that I didn't even realize. So definitely cool.
Does harvest time include germination and blackout altogether?
Nope. Harvest time is your total amount of time from the day you plant it to the day you harvest. If it's a 14-day total run, then it's 14 days. If it's a 10-day total run, it's 10 days. That's really the idea. So you're just going from seed to harvest. How much time in days is that?
All right. Dredsington wanted to know, is there Google Calendar integration for the prospects portion?
Not at this point, unfortunately. And I actually know who that is. I just talked to them on the phone today. They're a relative of mine that I've never actually met before.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah. Yep. Down in Arizona, get ready to try and start growing. So follow him on Instagram. I think that's his actual Instagram name is Dredsington.
Awesome.
So
hey, Andy, just to talk about the pricing, just kind of came to my head. I hope I'm not stepping over here, but are you going to try to do like a yearly plan?
Yeah, there'll be a yearly option where you can get a little bit cheaper. Yeah, there's definitely going to be a yearly, and there'll be a monthly option as well. Obviously, the monthly will be more expensive per month, if you will, over the yearly. So that's definitely the plan. I want to do a yearly option so people can save some money if they want to go that route. And then again, combining it with the referral program, it's going to be awesome. So my goal is to like try and get you guys to get it as free as you can.
Awesome.
By bringing people in. So
has the program ever failed you?
No, honestly.
You just said zero.
Yeah, I mean, literally the only time it can fail is when the internet's down. And then I just pull it up on my phone. So I mean, I still have access to everything. It's just not an ideal, little tiny screen. So but yeah, absolutely, is never once, unless I make a coding mistake and I have to fix it real quick. But yeah, that's on me for the most part. But yeah, otherwise it's been awesome. I mean, literally, at one point, just to give you an idea, we boarded a distributor and added 12 racks to our system in one order. 12 racks. So imagine the amount of extra stuff you all of a sudden had to start doing. And we were able to put all that stuff into the system and we never missed a beat. I mean, literally, we were able to add that amount of ordering into one setup, and it's been flawless ever since. So yeah, I mean, it's awesome. The only time it's ever going to fail is when you literally cannot get on the internet for some strange reason. You can't, connect your phone or anything. I'm going to work on anything that's connected to the internet. That's all you really need in the end. So yeah, it's awesome.
For sure. John Claus wanted to know if you had any ideas to add communication with your customers through the program.
Not yet. It could be something I do in the future to where you'll have the option to do like texting to your customers directly. But it's not a priority, honestly, at this point. It could be, if they sign up for like a new subscription, you could have an email automatically generated, something like that. That may eventually go in there. And also, just a total side note, this is a future thing for sure. I want to actually build in a system that you guys can all use to where your actual customers can log in. It just be a real generic looking page, nothing fancy, but it'll have their actual subscription information in there, and they can update their subscription on the fly. It'll automatically update this system. So that way you don't have to be involved with that process. They don't have to call you or text you. They can just go in and change it, automatically updates it in here, which is awesome. So that's definitely awesome. A future thing, because a lot of people don't have that option where they have to, especially when you get to the point where you're working with as many customers as we are, it's a pain in the butt. If they're texting you and say, oh, I need to change this, I need to change that. So ultimately I want that tool too, to make my life easier. So they're not reaching out to me constantly. So, and obviously that would notify you, when they change their order, things like that, just to keep it simple. So
awesome.
Yes. Dressington did want to follow up. Will there be a Google Calendar integration for prospects section? But also, is the Google Maps the only API?
It's the only one I have at the moment. And all it does is just literally link you to Google Maps. So it's really straightforward. And the reason why I do that is because from the Google Maps interface, you can actually text that whole entire route right to your phone, which is really nice. So unless I built that into our side too, through the API, again, it could be in the future, just not in this version. Yeah, this version is just going to do what it does. Not many integrations at all. Ultimately, there isn't any actually at the moment. But yeah, as time goes on, I definitely plan on integrating more stuff into it. It's just going to take time and signups to make that happen. Oh, thank you so much.
Right. How are there thousands of people and this is all we got? I mean, we're just going to have to do the replay.
Yeah, we take the ones that we have. We'll take 2 people if that's who really wants to listen.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this was just a demo of the software. I really wanted to push it to my group people, especially because you guys mean the most to me in my Microgreen group. I try and I'm in there all the time, communicating with everybody. I reply to every single comment, just about, and every single post I definitely reply to. So I really try and keep that little world of my group up to date as much as possible. So I really wasn't super worried about having a huge amount of people. The goal was just to get you guys in here to check it out, and that way you can see it and get some feedback and get some questions, which have been great. So I appreciate you guys.
It's pretty much the only group I comment or post anything into now.
Yeah, at this point, I barely go into the other ones at all, unless I feel like I absolutely have to. If somebody asked a really bad question or got a really bad answer.
Yeah, bad answers usually.
Yeah, that's usually what it is. Oh, thank you, Caroline.
Yes. Mario wanted to know, will there be a currency exchange for foreigners?
The only thing that I can do easily is just allow you to change whatever current, like ours is US dollars or whatever, that would show up in front of your pricing. Because there really isn't any need for changing pricing from one to the other, if that makes sense. I mean, I would assume if you're going to be US dollars, you're going to remain US dollars. If you're going to be Canadian dollars, you're going to remain Canadian dollars or whatever. And then that way, I could give that as an option, but it wasn't really a super high priority thing to me. only because like you could just set it as US dollars or whatever we decide to put in the end. And you know what it means. You know what I mean? So all it is just a dollar sign showing up in front of your pricing instead of something else. So unless I made like this gigantic drop down that had every single different currency type, which changes all the time, all over the world, then it's really not a high priority at the moment. But it is something I'll probably add a few basic ones, like euros and Canadian dollars and stuff like that. But right away, it won't have a ton of options. Just because it isn't really that necessary. I mean, you can set your pricing; it'll just have a different icon in front of it instead of whatever your local currency option is.
Yes. Aspen Leaf says it's really cool that it tells you how many trays you need to sow with decimals. Then you enter in full numbers, how many you planted. It tells you what the extra micros should have.
Yep, that comes in extremely handy because I cannot even tell you how many times I've had chefs call me at the last minute. They're like, "Oh, I need 2 pounds of sunflower," and I'm like, "Well, let me see if I got it." Yep, got it. Don't even have to worry about harvesting. I already know I've got it just based on my harvest weights. So
Yep.
it's a beautiful thing.
It happens occasionally to us too, as well. You know.
And oftentimes, if it says like, "Hey, you need to plant 8.1 trays of something," we may just do 8. I mean, if there's no reason to do 9 and end up with 0.9 extra trays. If we don't need it for whatever reason. So it's definitely nice to have that decimal where you can see like, if it's like something 0.6, it's probably worth planting that extra tray. But if it's 0.1, probably not. You'll probably be okay. Yeah, that was the point, Microzone, to build it to scale. I mean, this is 3.5 years of development that we put into this. I mean, we built this before we even started.
Wow.
And we started just like everybody else with 1 rack or 2 racks and made it really simple. And the whole idea behind this is to be unlimited. I mean, Dave from Micro Acres could use this system with ease, and it would support everything he's doing now, even with his thousands of trays that he does every week.
Yeah. Joe wanted to note that you can edit records, but you have to have an audit trail. But that does kind of tie into yours because it's approval or not approved. So you can edit it before you approve it.
Yep. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And we purposely, and to avoid having an audit trail, that's exactly why we chose to just have it not be edited after the fact. I mean, obviously we have the option to be able to edit it or delete the record before you approve it. So that way you can change things if you need to make sure it's accurate. But once it's approved, that's why we took it away. So that way we didn't have to deal with the whole audit trail piece of it. Because ultimately, it's not like these aren't huge major records, but they're obviously records that they're going to be looking for. If this was like, FDA regulation for medical device development or software development at a high end or something like that, where you have to have those major audit trails, that's a different story. But for this, it's just fairly minor in comparison. So we didn't go too crazy with it.
John Claus wanted to know, are you planning to offer support?
Yeah, I mean, it's to a certain extent, it won't be like one-on-one necessarily, but that's why I have the bug and features options in here. So obviously any bugs that go in, I'm going to get those repaired, especially if they're really high priority things. And then the features, obviously, we'll go back and forth with, based on whether they're upvoted, things like that. Or if it's something I feel like we could use internally as well, then certainly I'll have no problem building that in. But yeah, that'll pretty much be how most of the support's going to be done, is just through the bug interface and stuff. Just make things easy. I mean, I may end up opening up like some kind of a support contact form on here at some point, to where you can email me things directly or whatever. But initially, it'll just be through there for the most part, just so everything's documented and everybody can see what's going on.
All right, awesome. And let's see. Maybe while you're at it, the app could tell us how many trays we'll need.
Oh, there you go. Same question.
Same thing happened with the humidity domes. Oh, and even flag if you don't have enough humidity domes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Could be done, but then I'd have to track how many trays you own.
Yeah, that too.
That'd be a little interesting.
Time worked for harvest, seeding, or all that time in general?
It doesn't do that now, but there's so many apps you could use that already exist just to be able to track your time really quickly. I mean, you could just literally start a timer on your phone and harvest and see how it goes. And main reason why is like it's going to vary. I mean, for one, if you forget to stop the timer, the number's now inaccurate. It just wasn't something that I felt was a big priority. I mean, over time, you're going to find out how fast you do things. I mean, I know exactly how much time it takes me almost to the second to do almost everything we do at this point. You just learn it over time, then you kind of figure it out from there. So yeah, it's not in the system now. It could be in the future if enough people wanted it, but at the moment, it's definitely not in there.
Perfect. All right. Max asks, can you think of adding a barcode functionality so you can scan each tray or seeds doing barcodes on your items?
I kind of like that.
Yeah, that is kind of cool.
That's a lie. I kind of like that.
Yeah, because especially for inventory purposes, I mean, that's how a lot
Yeah.
of people do it. They'll put the little QR codes in their inventory. That's a good
Yeah.
idea, Max. And we're calling him Max because I asked him what his name is actually pronounced. So that's why we're calling him that, because I know I would abuse his first name, unfortunately, if I tried to say it
Yes.
correctly.
Yes. I wouldn't even try. I'd be like, you. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think I
I'm going to add
could
that to my
pronounce
list.
it
That's a good idea.
first. Yeah, that's
Say that
definitely.
again?
I said I probably could get the last name, but the first name I think I would have to hear a few times.
Yeah.
I'm liking it.
Yeah, we'll go with Max.
Yep.
Going Max. All right.
Good point, Max. I love that one.
Yeah, that is a cool one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I literally messaged him the other day and I was like, so just in case, how do you pronounce your first name?
And really cool icon picture for your
Loving
YouTube.
Oh, I know. That is awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah, he does actually some 3D like trays and stuff. It's really neat. So
Awesome.
Very cool.
I can't remember the name. I think it's Simply Grow, if I'm not mistaken. I apologize, Max. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah,
I
feel
think
free
it's
to
called
let us
Simply
know.
Grow on Facebook. His products are really cool. Really, really cool.
Nice. All right. B wanted to know any chance of an Android or iOS option. So you definitely
Yeah.
want that.
Yeah, I touched on that. That'll be a future thing. Again, it's all based on demand. I mean, if I find I've got, 10,000 people in here using this every month, and absolutely we'll have some apps out there.
Awesome
Oh, nice.
offense. Nice.
Cool. I will prove you once we're done.
All right. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it. It's been a whole lot of chatter amongst everybody.
Yeah.
Really enjoying everything. So awesome to see. Yep. Simply Grow. So that is
Simply Grow. That's what I thought it was. Yeah. Go check out his Facebook page. They do some pretty awesome 3D printing. They do like different, I think it's like flood trays almost, that they actually 3D print, and they fit really, really well with all the trays in them. So it's a neat thing that they're doing. So good stuff.
very cool.
So yeah, if you guys want to get in the early version of this and test it out and help Andy build this out a little bit, get in that Facebook beta group. Just showing the link there. Get in there. I'm sure he'll approve most of you that come in there.
Oh yeah.
And join that group, and then you're already going to be using that program. So when he releases it to go and pay, you're going to be one of the first people to use it, and it's definitely going to help build that. So it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing about it. If you ever a beta tester, I mean, you're literally walking in ready to go. When the software actually goes live, you won't even have to wait because you already have all your stuff built in there, and you'll have practiced everything, and you'll be good to go when the time comes. So definitely a cool thing to. I'm glad to finally get here. I mean,
yes,
this has been something I've gone back and forth on doing for a long, long time because I knew it was going to be a ton of work. And running the farm and doing this would have been almost impossible if it wasn't for my team that I have. They're the only reason I can get to this point and actually do these things. So, thank them, in your own weird way. And that's what allowed me to actually finally start doing this. But you got to keep in mind, I'm also trying to move into a 4,000 square foot space right now. So there's a lot going on, but I'm trying to prioritize this over everything else to try and get it launched and get it out there. And then that way you guys can start taking advantage of it.
And whatever program you're using now, continue using that when you go in and start with the beta and everything else. Don't totally switch and just rely that it's 100% and something crazy doesn't happen and it crashes. It probably will not, but you never know. It is still a program. It's still on the internet. So you never know. So keep using what you're using and just kind of slowly transfer it over that. And then when it goes live and all them little bugs are fixed for the beginning, there always will be bugs, but you'll be ready to go and you'll be able to switch at that point.
Yeah. And I can assure you, I mean, literally, we're using it now in its current state. And I would not do that if I didn't feel confident about where it's sitting right now already. Because obviously we'd be sacrificing major, major things. If we screw up our whole setup, my lights just kicked off. Must be 9 o'clock.
It's time to go.
All my grow lights are off now. I was here literally their entire cycle today.
Been there.
But so I mean, we're literally using it now, and again, I've done this many, many, many years. So I mean, I'm going to test the crap out of this before everybody gets the chance to even look at it. Before it even gets to beta testing mode, I'm going to triple check everything, and then dump everybody into the beta testing process and see if anybody can find anything. That's really going to be the goal. Cause there's always going to be little weird things that I may not see or a weird situation that I didn't think about or didn't put together. But for the most part, I mean, almost everything I've launched, and I don't want to say it's been bug free, but for the most part, it's been very darn close. Because I'm very good at what I do. I've been doing it a long time, and I really take pride in quality work and quality code and everything else. So that's really the idea behind it. So I appreciate you guys for sure. tune it in, check it
Beta
out.
means, there's a question that says, what does beta mean? So there's alpha,
Oh, gotcha. Yep.
beta. And so alpha, I mean, you could probably explain it better. I'll let you.
Yeah. So alpha is like when you're first starting, and the goal is you're just kind of getting the program put together, and it's got all kinds of problems. We're way past that point. I mean, we've been using it in our mode for years, but building it in as a user-based system changes everything. Because obviously I got to make sure everybody stays separate, that you got walls between everybody so you can't see stuff that you're not supposed to see, and vice versa. So once you get into beta level, then now you're inviting people in to try your system, knowing that it's not 100%. The goal is for people to get in there and try all kinds of different things, play around with it, try and break it, and then submit feedback, and say, hey, this feature sucks, this feature could be better, this feature's awesome, here's some bugs I found, whatever. And you get through that beta process, and then essentially from there, then you're in launch mode. So you get the beta piece of it done, you get all those issues fixed, and any features built in that you think are worthy of the release version. And then obviously once you get to the point where you're releasing it, then you're starting a versioning process. Essentially, now you're at version 1.0, and then the next version will be 1.1, 1.2, however you decide you want to do it. Go from there. So that's really the idea. So basically in beta mode, it's known to probably have problems. Not a whole lot of people have used it yet. Obviously I use it all the time, but it doesn't necessarily mean, I also have data in there that I pulled in from forever ago. So, somebody starting brand new may find more issues than I would having everything already filled out. So, that's pretty much the beta testing process, is just making sure everything's good to go, everything looks good, and just having a bunch of extra set of eyes on it. And I'll be honest with you, this is the first application I've ever beta tested in my entire career, because everything else I send right out the door because I feel really freaking good about it. And I can tell you, by the time beta testing is open, I'm already going to feel really good about it. So the hope would be that you guys all get in there, you do your setup, and you find absolutely nothing.
Do you have a date for that official release of the beta, or?
Not at the moment, unfortunately. I'm hoping, if it wasn't for the fact that I was also trying to move into a 4,000 square foot space, and that involves some of my time, that I could probably give a better idea. I'm hoping in the next few weeks to actually open up the beta testing. I got through two of the major obstacles that I needed to get through to get to here today. So at this point, it's a lot more minor stuff that I have to do. And I know of some bugs that I need to fix. And it's all as a result of me changing this to a user-based system. It's nothing to do with what I had before. What I had before was flawless, but obviously there's a whole lot of code I had to change to get this to be user-driven. So it makes it a lot more difficult. There's a lot of little weird scenarios that you got to think through. So, and I also tried adding some stuff that I ended up pulling back out that, ended up causing more problems than what it was worth. So, just part of the process, unfortunately.
Yeah. So get in that Facebook group that he'll notify you in there. If you're in that group, he'll notify you there. I'm sure we will discuss it on the podcast on Sundays. Every Sunday we're on the podcast at 4 p.m. Central Time, 5 o'clock Eastern Time. We're there. So we'll talk about it in there, I'm sure, and announce it on there as well when it's going to be released and be ready to go, and all that. You ready to get to the vote? You ready to name this thing, Andy?
I am. I've been ready for months.
All right.
I'm dying to see who's going to be the winner.
So we are at 70 votes. I'm going to officially end this poll. And
thank you guys for coming in and voting. That's awesome.
Yes. Thank you for all the votes.
We are at 70 votes and 59%.
What do you think, Andy?
Wow, that's close. I'm going to guess Farm Flow. Am I right?
It
is Farm Flow.
Nice. All right. So now I have a name. Thank God.
A name for this app. We can just stop calling it the program.
Yeah, now we can call it Farm Flow. So Max, who I know is on here, you were the one that picked the name. So you're actually, once this is up and running, you're going to get a lifetime subscription. So you'll be in there forever. But yeah, that's awesome. Max. We started with over 140 names that were submitted, and my team narrowed it down to 10. Then we narrowed it down to 3, and then unfortunately, one of the names that I had picked, somebody else recently used. I'm like, come on, man. So they may be in this call. I don't know. They may be trying to steal some ideas.
Farm Flow is a good name. I like it.
Yeah, I do too. It'll be fun. I was really totally happy with either name, the ones that we narrowed it down to. So I greatly appreciate those who voted. And I appreciate you guys joining in the beta group. Obviously, we're going to get you guys in there as soon as we can to start playing around. It probably won't be that much longer, I'm hoping. But again, I'm super anal when it comes to quality, and I want to make sure this thing's ready to rock and roll before I even get you guys in there. So I'm going to do a lot of testing and a lot of different things I have to do on my side to get it ready. And that way, hopefully you guys find nothing. And the idea is that when you go in there and set all your stuff up, I don't want you to have to do it again. So I'd rather you go in there and be ready to go and have it work flawlessly from day one. So
I found
that's
something
really my
already.
ultimate goal. Yeah.
I found something already while you were demoing that. The
Oh,
200
yeah?
product limit.
Oh.
I'm going to be over that in another 4 weeks. I'll be over that.
That's 200 trays of one product.
Oh, 200 trays of one product?
Yeah, 200 trays of one product planted in the same day.
Might be more than 4 weeks.
Okay, yeah.
That's pretty
we'll
lofty.
give you a little
I can
time.
easily up it.
Okay. I thought you said product. I apparently wasn't listening. I was typing.
Nope. Yeah, no, you're good, man.
So.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
I mean, that's a good challenge, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. You guys will get there. You're probably almost there already.
About halfway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So awesome, guys. Well, I don't want to keep you any longer. It's been 2 long hours, and it's been a very long day. I got here at about 6:30 this morning. It's been a long day on the farm. It's our big harvest day every single week. So I appreciate you guys very much. You have no idea what this means to me to have you guys all here and get 70 votes. I mean, that's awesome.
Yep.
And I know I appreciate all the beta testers that are already in the group and all the guys that are going to join the group. And obviously, Mike and I appreciate you guys' support on the podcast and everything else. So we appreciate you guys tuning in tonight to hang around this long, especially if you're on the East Coast or further east where it's even later. So we definitely, are thankful for that. It's been a lot of fun getting here. This is my bread and butter. I love coding. I miss it sometimes. This allows me to scratch that itch a little bit to get this out there. But I think this is going to be revolutionary for your microgreen business. I mean, it's literally, it doesn't matter how big you get. This is never going to outgrow you. And that was really the whole point of it all. So you can be a little small time guy that just started a couple weeks ago and use this and be successful, or you can be a big, huge, gigantic 300,000 square foot facility place and still be successful, and use this program. So it's awesome. And it's only going to get better as time goes on. That's the beauty of it. I'm the coder. I'm the microgreen grower. I'm the farmer. I know what it takes. So those features that I built in are there for a reason, because that's what you need when you get to the bigger levels. So yeah, definitely take advantage of it. Get in there, and obviously, stay tuned to that beta testing group. Stay tuned to my group. That's where I post most of my stuff now. So any major updates are going to be in there, and the beta testing group as well. And then once I get some way to onboard all you guys into beta testing, which won't be too far off, then I'll get that started. You guys will be good to go, and you can start using it. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Right. Thanks for joining tonight, guys. And thanks for all the votes and everything you guys do. Make sure you stay tuned for the updates, and we'll see you Sunday on the podcast.
Yep.
Have a good night.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys, so much.